That's what I'm talking about. FlyQuest, they are gonna take it 2-0. And Immortals win a ridiculous series.
Well played to Team Liquid, a very clean win over CounterLogic Gaming.
Cloud9 up the backs of Contracts 2-0 over TSM.
The new Dignitas lineup seems pretty good on paper. A lot of teams have seemed good on paper and not worked out.
It's basically up to me to make sure I perform for this team to do well.
A triple for Lod, and Dignitas' North American bot lane will close it out in the end.
Welcome to day 3 of the North American League Championship Series Spring Split. The fans are fired up here in Los Angeles for another day of action. They braved what was some torrential downpours here in Los Angeles for us here in Southern California, but we've made it indoors. We're all safe and warm now to watch some League of Legends. Stixxay, Huhi, the rest of CLG entering the arena. Alex each taking photos with some fans, and of course, Wild Turtle prepares for his first match of the day. Belter and Dardoch setting up across the stage. That's going to be a pretty sweet matchup. Both of these teams still looking for their first win of the season. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. Lending their expertise on the analyst desk today is Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler and Mark Zimmerman. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Stupendous.
It's all right.
Stupendous.
I wouldn't go that far. It's terrible out. You have to walk between the parking lot and here, cover your head, not mess up the hair.
When it's raining.
I'm
We never get rain in LA.
There it is. That's what I deal with on a daily basis, Kobe. All right, well, let's start off the day with a peek at how the teams are stacked up after our first 2 days of play. Up top, FlyQuest and Cloud9 are joined by Liquid, Immortals, and Dignitas. While Phoenix 1 concluded their weekend at the middle of the table, Echo Fox walks away from week 1 winless, leaving TSM, NV, and CLG still fighting for their first win of the split. Now we'll see how that changes after today's matches. We start the day with TSM versus Immortals, then Team Dignitas take on Cloud9 in the battle arena. Meanwhile, on NALCS 2, NV prepares to face CounterLogic Gaming and will conclude the day with Team Liquid versus FlyQuest. And rather tune in after the show for a recap of the weekend as Jat, Zyrene, and I discuss the weekend's events on NALCS tonight. Now, if you have any questions about the 2017 season, tweet them to @LolEsports with the hashtag NALCS, and we'll answer a few during the show. But now it's time to talk about today, the pregame, what's about to happen. So let's focus in on the matches. We're only 2 days into the NALCS Spring Split, so we only have so much to look at. But we've seen some surprise performances already.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that stands out to me is Acadian. I mean, this guy, a lot of people are fans of him already just because they can relate to that feeling of, I got first blood or I won my lane, yet we still lost the game. He's doing really well. He got 5 or participated in getting 5 first bloods in just those first 2 days.
Right, but I mean, you have to talk about Contracts as well. He is the other kind of rookie jungler making a name for himself, and he hasn't had quite as many games to show as Acadian, who has been in 5 so far in the first weekend. All those first bloods is nice, but I think Contracts is doing great because he's being able to help the team out in the mid and late game situations as well, where Acadian has looked a little shaky around those parts.
Contracts look super good. The only thing left for me to see from him, obviously more games would...
yeah, obviously.
But, you know, playing the jungle from behind, so different from, oh, my lanes are all doing super well, and he's doing a really good job of capitalizing, you know, on opportunities. But, you know, also playing around weaknesses will be the next thing we look for.
Right, and just the 2 games for Contracts so far, and he's going to be going up against Dignitas and Someday, who's the third person that I want to talk about here, who yesterday was able to play tanks and the carries and the likes of Fiora to a pretty stupendous degree.
Word of the day, I guess. Honestly, though, yeah, this guy, people were wondering, oh, is he overhyped, you know, coming from LCK and getting MVPs and stuff? No, he was not overhyped. It was definitely deserved. You talk about the versatility of playing both the tanks and the carries. Showed it in only, you know, a couple games already. So I think Someday definitely delivering.
Right, it's a great meta for a player who is good at both because you see a couple top tier tank picks, a couple top tier carry picks, and the fact that you can switch between those 2 styles so easily with a player like Someday's very good for your team, but we get to see it tested against Cloud9 and Impact, who's very, you know, very much the same way where he can play whatever his team needs.
Right, and unfortunately for one of these players' contracts and someday, as they're facing off against each other today, one of them's walking away with a loss. But let's go ahead and dive into that matchup because it's pretty hyped up now that they both started off 1-0.
Right, and Cloud9 already took down TSM in a pretty convincing fashion, and it's going to be if they can do the same to Dignitas. Obviously, TSM came in as one of the hyped up teams, and the way that Cloud9 beat them was surprising to an extent where we didn't think it was going to be a 2-0 that was pretty dominant, and we're going to see if they can continue to do that against the big hot import team in Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the next test, right? You talk about defeating the defending champions, and that's one of the reasons why Cloud9 are rated at the top of the table, plus all the scrim, talk that teams are talking about. But I think this is going to be a super interesting matchup, probably most look forward to of the day.
Right, that matchup comes later in the day. Earlier, we've got TSM versus Immortal, and just last split, this would have been a marquee matchup. This could have been a battle for first place, but both of these teams looking a little shaky in their week 1 performances so far.
And both those teams have had big changes, right? This is the huge contributor to that. Yes, Doublelift did step down for TSM, and it was only one member, but it was a huge key part because not only was he great at laning, also was a huge part of the shot calling, and we saw that in their game versus Cloud9, the lack of that, whereas Immortals lost almost the whole team.
Right, and it was such an identity that team had around the kind of reign over Huni story. And like Pobelter coming back, he was always more of a supplementary piece, and now this team needs to find their identity. And TSM's looking to take advantage of that today, where they're hopefully a little bit more synced up.
All right, Kobe, you mentioned with just the one player leaving and the only first sustained loss, a lot of people are already in panic mode about TSM. Is it time to panic yet, or is this a little unwarranted?
I mean, as we've been saying, we think Cloud9 is definitely top of the table team. So, and a lot of people project to actually be number 1. Mm-hmm. So, losing to that team, not time to quite, the sky not falling already. But if they also follow that up with a loss to Immortals, then you really start to have to worry because Immortals were already struggling versus Echo Fox in the first day. So yeah, if the trend does continue for TSM, then you got to get really worried and talk about alternatives. Double has said it's a possibility he comes back from streaming early if they really need him. How early can you make that call?
Hey, come back to SoCal, we need you.
Yeah, well, we're about to find out how this day will start out, so it's going to be time to send it over to our casters to get the games underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. Greetings, everyone. I am Rivington Bislin III, here to bring you more league action, and joining me on today's cast is Isaac Azale, Cummings Bentley. It's great to be back. It's great to be casting with you, man.
I know. We were just talking about it. It's been so long since we actually cast together, since playoffs last year. So I'm excited.
All right. So hopefully it's not going to be super rusty, and hopefully we see these two teams pick up the pace. Coming up, we've got the 2 most dominant teams from last split with TSM versus Immortals. And last season, this matchup, as Dash was saying, would have been considered a clash of titans. But this weekend has already shown that their spots are very much up for grabs.
Yeah, and it's not that they can't compete, but TSM was the undisputed best team last split, and we predicted they could have some growing pains with the roster swaps, but Friday we saw some lackluster performances where we didn't expect to see it. Bjergsen, Sven Skaren, these guys were smashing at Worlds, and then they come in and they did not have great games. So, I want to keep my eyes on them, and Bjergsen specifically, to bounce back strong and really show some great games today.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Immortals found their way back in a close series where, to be fair, IMT did give up sizable leads early and forced themselves to capitalize on their opponent's mistakes to take them to victory, which is always a very scary road to take to victory.
Especially against players like Bjergsen, right? So, I mean, Immortals, they won off the back of great individual play in the late game. Flame specifically, he was a split push threat and became huge later in the game. And Dardoch on the Kazakhs was massive, getting so many picks, ended like 10-2. So he was huge too. Immortals coordination, though, has not really been put to the test just yet because they were playing against Echo Fox, and Dardoch talked about how they have a lot of room to grow, and they want to see where they can go from here and how they're going to stack up against this version of TSM.
And we even heard Pobelter in the huddle after the game yesterday saying, we know that game was kind of shaky, but we can only go up from here, and that's what's going to happen. And I think as Pobelter tries to be that key force in the mid for them now this time around, they'll be listening to him, and they might make those results. Going into this match, IMT mid laner Pobelter talked about how he looks forward to facing his former teammates this season.
I guess I'm just pretty excited to play against all my former teammates from last year. We all split up on different teams. So Turtle's on TSM now, Adrian's on P1, and Rainover's on Liquid. So I want to make sure I do really well against those teams. Yeah, and then we're going to go to MSI and beat Huni on SKT.
Well,
We're on Pope Watch, man. We got to see him taking them down one at a time.
We'll see if he can bring it up with the team gearing up as well. On blue side, it is going to be, however, TSM. That means in the top lane, it is Haunter. Coming out of the jungle is Sven Skaren. Representing the mid lane, Bjergsen. At bot is Wild Turtle with his support, Biofrost, and Coach Park for picks and bans.
And their opponents today on the red side, it's Immortals. In the top lane, Flame. In the jungle, Dardoch. Mid lane, Pobelter. Bot lane, Cody Sun. Support, Ole. Coach Hermes here to help him pick a ban.
I'm excited to see what happens coming out of this match. Already, Pobelter staying true to what he does each season in the beginning. 3 different champions in those games, or continues to play different champions throughout these picks and bans. So already going to see that champion pool. Harder to ban him out. They might start focusing other players on the team.
Yeah, and I really am loving the evolution of pick and ban. You know, traditionally people have been kind of trying to match picks in the first 3 so they can't get pinched out, but we've seen already some teams stray away from that because they have players who can play everything, and it's okay. You know, if you can play every champion, it doesn't matter if you have 5 bans against you. Impact showed that against TSM on Friday. We'll see if anyone wants to show that here today.
We fly into picks and bans. We will see what phase 1 has for us. The first 3 for each team. 30 seconds aside.
Yeah, and red side, the super standard so far has been LeBlanc, Camille, Rengar. Take them off the table. But you can go other ways. You can leave these power picks up, force your opponents to ban or trade for them. And I really do like that strategy a lot more. So we're going to see if Immortals is going to be willing to kind of make those adaptations.
Someday in Flame making their name known on that Fiora from yesterday.
Yeah, man.
None of those are going to get it again.
Yeah, Someday got banned out twice on it. He got it once, crushed on it. Flame was doing work as well. I mean, especially in this tank meta, this is a guy that if you let Fiora scale, if you let them split push, they will dominate you in late.
Camille, expected on Immortals side. Zyra will be banned out from Ole. And the final ban out from Immortals here before we get our picks.
Definitely expecting Rengar at this point, unless they feel that TSM is going to prioritize Maokai so heavily that they can make that trade. Most people are not putting Maokai at that same tier, so they are banning out the Rengar pretty much every time. But you can say, hey, you know what? Maokai is just as good. We'll trade for one of those.
Yeah. Very true. It is going to be the Rengar that gets knocked out, and Ashe is the first pickup. A lot of teams have been prioritizing that, and it's no stranger to TSM.
Yeah, it's all about utility AD carries. It's the name of the game right now. Varus, Ashe, Jhin, those are kind of the big 3 right now. And AD is one of the roles that can really get pinched out into something different. We've seen people have success on different types of AD carries, like Piglet, hard carrying on Twitch in the late game. So there are other options, but I would not be surprised to see Immortals want to pick up their bot lane player early on here.
We should know where AD carries go to that. A lot of discussion going on for that first pick, but they were able to grab the Malzahar. No worries. They have the 30 seconds for the next one, so this should be pretty easy. I think you're right with that bot lane coming in here. Might not be too difficult versus the Ashe, but they actually go for Rise in the mid lane.
Yeah, so grabbing Rise for the Pobelter, I think that Malzahar, great support, especially Zyra already off the table from TSM. That's one of the kind of the natural counters. There are other things you can do to deal with it, but I think Zyra is best. So that support is already gone. Immortals going to grab tier 1 support, and they still do have their 3rd pick if they want to take the AD carry, because they know TSM has already drafted their AD carry in this round. You may as well leave it till that 3rd pick and try to steal away a mid laner from Bjergsen.
I was going to say, Bjergsen may want to pick that here. Doesn't let that go any farther. Usually we see those fall a little bit more down into the second ban phase, but it is going to be that Rise versus the Cassiopeia. Next pick for Bjergsen. We'll see what he gets.
Yeah, I mean, Cassiopeia, definitely a very good matchup against the Rise, so Bjergsen is going to be happy about this. It's not that it's like a hard counter or something, but it is advantageous in the laning phase. Obviously, we've seen Rise have a lot of success moving around the map, doing a lot of things like that. Ryu, notably yesterday, made great work on the Rise, being able to rotate around the map, using that ult to catch people out, and can be very strong. Now the question is, there's been divergence, right? Do you go for your jungler here or risk getting Dardoch banned all the way down, or do you take your AD carry and risk Cody Sun getting banned all the way down? So they must make a choice now here. And if they go for Varus, then they're saying, you know what, Dardoch has a deeper champion pool.
It feels
he can
more
handle it.
Exactly. They allow Cody Sun to play a little bit more comfortable of a champion. They have Varus, Ashe, so his 2 Varus and an Ashe yesterday for his game. So feeling pretty good coming into another day on that champion. And we go and do our next ban.
Yeah, and this is really where the adaptation comes. This is where you try to screw up your opponent's picks and bans, right? And for Immortals, they could target supports. If they say, hey, you know what, we want to push you down further in the tiers of supports, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But so far, they are going to be looking to target Haunter in the top lane. TSM, I am expecting them to bring out jungle bans unless they want to kind of diverge from what has been the most common strategy. Since Dardoch is not selected as champion yet, you already have the Kazakhs. You can start to take those champions off the table.
See as well that Poppy from Haunter really put his name on the table last year for being able to do work in TSM's top lane. Still, that Maokai has gone through. The Nautilus has gone through as we see those top and jungle bans.
You almost have to feel like with the Poppy ban, Immortals was committing to a Maokai ban as well. Otherwise, I'm going to be pretty confused about it. And the order doesn't matter as long as you also ban out the Maokai, but that is kind of the agreed upon S tier top lane tank. So if you're going to leave that open, it would be strange to have committed a ban. Oh, and they actually, I think they missed their ban.
It did look like he was a bit distraught there at the end of the timer going down. 30 seconds catching people off guard.
Yeah, that's actually really bad. If that is the case, we'll have to see.
It says picking, yeah. Rek'Sai was banned out. It was Dardoch that gets focused there. Like we said, he may feel more comfortable having that. And we've seen a bunch of other junglers being used around in the regions. We'll see what he can whittle on down to. But yeah, that's very, very interesting here for Immortals. This ban phase already catching people off guard.
Oh, wow. This is actually really interesting. I think it was actually an intentionally skipped. Is it? I don't know. That doesn't make sense. You still want to ban out Nautilus or something, but they're going to take the Maokai. I'm not sure if this was an adaptation or a mistake or what it was. A little bit confusing, but they're going to grab Maokai. They could have still banned Nautilus, so Haunter wouldn't have any of those tanks, and then taken the Maokai themselves if they wanted to go for that. But they are going to grab it.
From production, that was a misban.
Yeah, so it was a misban. So I think they actually did not want Haunter to have this Nautilus.
So the Olaf actually gets through. You got to be happy about that. We've been seeing him on the ban list, but it was thought to be that jungle. Was he going to go in the jungle? Where's he going to go? I guess he does. He doesn't go to the top lane this time.
Yeah, and Nautilus, Olaf is obviously traditionally a jungler.
For sure,
but
and you have them out.
Recently, you have been seeing it a lot more in the top lane. It actually has very strong early levels. It can be pretty powerful. Have been seeing people like Impact specifically playing it a lot in solo queue. It's something that he likes to play, and it is a champion that people have been banning for top lane. But either way, we're going to see how Immortals is going to do. They have a very strong draft, I think, on both sides. Hopefully, for Immortals' sake, that Nautilus does not really become a big problem.
Both teams coming out with something that can fight a little early into the mid game, as well as have some great fights late. That's what we've been seeing throughout these games. Usually, Summoner's Rift slowed down around 20 minutes when you knew the other team had a lead. We've been seeing games, consistent fighting, consistent pressure from teams now, almost up to 30 minutes. Much more action. Teams are pressuring each other, testing their skill much more. And now we have to see if the communication and that skill comes together for both of these teams. TSM and Immortals having a bit of a dark start here in the LCS through the spring split, but it can all change. As we say, there is a long split to go.
Yeah, and Immortals, they had a bit of a shaky series, but they did get the win on the board. So
that's true.
If they beat TSM here today, they're starting off 2-0. It's all rainbows and sunshine. And
there it is.
TSM, obviously, they're looking to battle back, and I think they have set themselves up well to do so because I like the mid lane matchup for Bjergsen, Sven Skaren. I think that being on Kazakhs, that is kind of a higher tier jungler than Dardoch has. So the mid lane jungle synergy should kind of lend itself to that. They have more powerful early picks for both Sven and Bjergsen.
And looking at that, kind of as these junglers get pushed down, we didn't see Erlof too much recently. You see it a little bit. Does he kind of have to do anything different? Is Dardoch going to have to try to shut down Sven Skaren with this S-tier Kazakhs pick, or does he just play it normal?
I think he can play it pretty standard.
Okay.
Olaf definitely is a very strong pick, and the early levels are very strong for it as well. You have the options. One of the problems for the Olaf is honestly mana in the early game. You really can kind of run out of mana on your clears, and that can make it a little bit more tough, whereas Kazakhs kind of has a bit more flexibility to stay out on the map longer in some of these early game scenarios.
Storm Raiders for both Cass and that Rise, so Bjergsen and Pobalt with the extra movement speed as usual. Be interesting to see how much they go at it toe-to-toe. We've seen actually quite a few not level 1s, but auto attacks that get the ghost out of both mid laners very early on in these games.
Yeah.
Trying to get that edge really will now give your jungler that lead, that help. Sponsor dances it out for us, starting this one off.
One little interesting kind of change there for Dardoch is he's going to be playing Fervor. And while Fervor is not strange by any means, some people actually have been electing to go for Storm Raider Surge even on the Olaf because you can kind of proc that with your base stats early on. Dardoch also doing an interesting start here. He's not getting leashed whatsoever, so Flame is going to be able to kind of hopefully set up the minions for him and get some sort of an advantage from Haunter coming late. Because Dardoch, you don't mind getting low HP on the Olaf, you get increased attack speed, you're able to clear very fast at that low HP, but there always is the risk of Svenskeren invading and catching you at low health. You do have to kind of weigh that back and forth. You know, do you use your potions early and have a slower clear, or do you risk getting caught and kind of killed out?
Yeah. See, they're going to end up on opposite sides to start, so they may not see each other. Looks like they'll take the paths, get pinged. And a little pushback. Good trade here in the bot lane as they're coming up on level 2, but didn't even yet as they have to back off from the damage.
Yeah, and you can see Flame, because of that leash that they did, he gets early level 2, he pushes his opponent in, and he's hoping that Haunter is going to miss some of the CS under the turret. That's really what he is trying to do. He's trying to force it in, allow it to reset. Remember, Dardoch started bot side, so Flame can make the wave bounce and then kind of hold it around the middle of the lane or towards his turret. Could set up an easy gank for Dardoch. So a lot of thought going into this early game as far as the jungle pathing, as far as Flame getting the early shove. So this is really well thought through, and we'll see if it does pay dividends or if TSM is kind of on the ball, if they're like, hey, this is probably what's going on.
I wonder as well, with IMT setting up their wards, if Pobelter's kind of trying to make Bjergsen think that he may be covered by bottom side jungle or top. Dardoch is pretty much unknown right now, but I think so is Svenskeren.
And that's one of the advantages of not giving a leash, right? You don't know where the jungler actually is. It's not given away that the bot lane shows up late or the top lane shows up late. No one was really missing, so you know their guess is just that. It's just an educated guess of saying, hey, where would it make sense if he started? And you can see Svenskeren is kind of trying to be careful about that. He's trying to grab the scuttle and probably drop a ward over here to cover his laner.
Popped up right quick, sees Haunter at about half HP.
Oh, this could be good for Immortals.
The timing is here. Perfect. I don't know if Dardoch's going to be able to make it in time with the vision. He was brought in. It was a little too far out, but the damage he brings is definitely something to be worried about. Svenskeren pulls away from that, and had that been a few seconds later, much more in IMT's favor.
Yeah, and
even though it is
was so much higher on health there, he wanted that fight, so he wanted them to go in on him. Dardoch, if he'd even been there, a split second earlier, could have been a disaster for TSM. But still, intelligent pathing, intelligent game plan from Immortals gets them the flash from Haunter. And Flame bases, he's going to TP immediately back with a double kind of early item buy and try to get the shove. So he's going to try to keep the ball rolling here, and perhaps even look for a dive on Haunter. Oh, they stopped the base. They're going to go for a dive. They're going to try.
They're actually looking to get a dive on him at 4:30. Quite early in this one. They're going to push this minion wave in.
Yeah, Maokai needs to push, and Maokai needs to start the dive, then use his W to drop it. They're going to see if they can do it.
Shield up. There's one. Gets courage, but he still goes down.
Will he get out?
Immortals coming up very huge on this one.
I am so impressed by Immortals' early game. This was all planned out. Very, very smart. Then the fact that they get the flash, they change up the game plan. They blow the TP immediately to be able to get this. They know that Svenskeren was chunked out. He was going to base. Immortals' intelligent game plan, massive advantage in the early game for the top side.
And it seems to be working out, but see the replay right here one more time. This is like old TSM, what they used to do to teams. They dance around you at the top side and say, guess what? You're going to go down no matter what.
Yeah, and that was just so well done. So first blood over to Dardoch. Flame had almost double the CS of Haunter there. At the time of his death, obviously Haunter going to be able to pick this up, but will close out as Flame gets back to lane. Still very, very good start for the team.
Yep, and thinking back to the pick ban phase, we're going to throw it down to chat to get some quick insight on how it went for Immortals.
Hey, thanks, Riv. I did get a chance to catch up with Hermes, Immortals coach, after the pick ban phase. About the missed ban, I asked him. He said they're still having some translation issues with Ollie, and he did miss that ban. They meant it to be Nautilus. I asked him how he felt about that, though. He said it's still okay because they have the Maokai. As far as how he felt about the overall draft, he thinks as long as they can control side lane pressure early, they should be strong in the 5v5 team fight. So with that early start, could be good for Immortals. Send it back to you guys.
And that is as we expected, that it would be that Nautilus, but either way, they got the Maokai. It's working out so far. And they have, as far as the side lanes go, top lane heavily in their advantage. But bot lane is looking incredible for TSM, and so is the mid lane. I mean, you can check out the advantage that Wild Turtle and Biofrost have already carved out. That's a big CS lead for this early, Riv.
very, very big. Great knowledge from chat coming from Hermes there. And now Bjergsen getting caught in the mid lane. Flash is over. Looks like he could be safe here. Ragnarok is on. One more undertow is going to bring him in range. Oh, he turns it as the Ragnarok wears off. Nicely done. It wouldn't have mattered, but still cheeky.
Very well played from both sides. Bjergsen waits out Ragnarok, but Dardoch one step ahead, anticipates it. Quick little turn there, and Dardoch is turning up the heat in this game. Great start on the top side, and now he's heading bot lane. He's already affected the other 2 lanes.
So he tried to get through the relic there, or the shrine, I should say, getting a little more speed, but there's no vision of TSM. We'll see this in the mid lane again, so Dardoch had already just kind of come through the river, and it was pretty much done from there.
Yeah, I mean, Dardoch with the early start, he's already 6. Pobelter is not, but that Rune Prison onto Bjergsen. Look at that sidestep there, flips it around, and Svenskeren cannot get there in time. Bjergsen, you know, retrospect, maybe he should have just tried to use that ult immediately onto Ryze, stop some of Pobelter's damage. That could have allowed him perhaps to get out, but it's a tough call to make. And, you know, Pobelter was trying to flip around and avoid that ult too.
Incredibly, I would say incredibly fast, but a fast 6 for Dardoch there, catching everyone off guard and cannot be stopped by Bjergsen right away. Svenskeren still looking to hit that level 6. He should as he gets over to his red here. And the blue is handed off to Pobelter.
Yeah, it is a very fast 6, and the early Lucidity boost always great on Olaf because you have that super short Ghost cooldown. Ghost already lower cooldown than Flash, then you get Insight, that reduces it even further. Then you have these, which reduce it even that much further. So you can use that Ghost kind of whenever you want.
Hit onto Ollie, so he can't lock anybody up. Pobelter tries to come in and deter the fight. Dardoch ready to go once again. He gets melted immediately as Svenskeren turns it around. He gets himself back in this game. That's the buffs going over as well. Refresh for Svenskeren on the buffs and 2 kills for the team.
Yeah, huge turnaround there for TSM. Dardoch was feeling strong, but he had not really purchased any tank stats yet. So the Lucidity, great, your Ghost is up. You're not able to be stunned, but he just gets burst down, zeroed out by the Kazakhs and that Cassiopeia. And TSM battles right back. That puts them ahead.
They said these games continue to go. They pressure each other. Bjergsen just went down. They're ready to fight again.
Yeah, exactly. And as Pobelter gets zoned out completely, as Svenskeren gets back in there, you can see the isolated Kazakhs damage. But this was so well played by the jungle support duo from TSM. Svenskeren and Biofrost zone out Pobelter, stop that damage threat. Then they all converge, focus down Dardoch. Really just very well played skirmish from TSM.
And a quick play like that, look now 7 for Svenskeren over Dardoch's 6. He just got that 6 and hit another level. Feeling really good on that after Dardoch had his dodge, which definitely gave him a bit of confidence. May have been kind of taken away there. Coming up on 10 minutes, 2-2, as these teams are really duking it out. Top lane already saw some action for the junglers. May see a little bit more right now.
Yeah. Some interesting purchase here as well. Turtle with very early Swifty boots. Not something you would see, but Immortals looking to set up a 3-man dive. Svenskeren is here though.
Turret or no turret, it looks like they're going. Arrow just misses on the left side. Everybody is out of the turret range for now. They're going to be able to take down Pobelter. Svenskeren flashes in to try to get the slows. The attacks, the red buff procs. They're going to have to turn for Dardoch. Dardoch gets his buffs back, but I don't think it'll happen for very long. Undertow hits, and nobody's going to get these ones. No, it's the hit on Turtle. He may live. Turtle flashes forward to clean it up, and the buffs keep going.
Oh, and it was a 3-for-2 dive. 3-for-2 kills in the end as Turtle was able to get up there, but Svenskeren smelled this out. And a great response from him. Now 4-1-1 on the Kazakhs.
Oh my god.
It was Dardoch with the early start, but it's Svenskeren battling back and keeping his team in the game.
Definitely the Svenskeren we saw coming out at Worlds. Let's see this hit up on top once
and
again.
Look at Sven. He's already waiting for Pobelter, gets the early isolated damage, dodging in and out with his ultimate, and then he hops in, gets the XQ onto Pobelter. They flash forward there. A bit of a mistake from Sven. He could have played it more slowly and maybe saved their lives. Dardoch intelligently pops the Ragnarok, still high on HP, able to turn around, pick up a couple kills to avoid it being a complete tragedy for them. But Turtle ends with the double buffs, gets that shutdown kill. Things looking good for TSM. Still very close game.
Bjergsen leaving lane for just a moment. He was going to try to do a sight ward clear. And Turtle now returns to lane. Back actually for Cody, Sun, and Ale. It seems like they've been a little, not disjointed, but haven't been able to fight and bot for too long here as clear back, clear back. We'll see what action comes from them when we actually get them in the ults. We saw a little bit from Biofrost. He did his roam mid, 2 assists for him so far. So the bot lane actually doing a little bit better as well for TSM this game.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that at least Immortals got out of that is that Turtle went top lane, so they got a lot of bottom lane turret damage because they were down a lot of CS, they were down in pressure. The fact that Turtle left lane kind of gave Cody-san and Olay a bit of a reprieve there. So we'll see if they can kind of push up and finish that off. I know that Dardoch would love to go bot lane, love to get a kill and get that first tower, because that would be a big injection of gold.
Hanser pretty much knew. He's like, you're not doing anything. No one's up here. We both have vision. You're not faking me out. Little roam bot. Bjergsen's already making his way down slowly. Seems like Pobelter's thinking about it. He's hovering around his turret. Doesn't know if he's going to get ganked right as he heads into the jungle or not. He stays, the lane resets, and it's going to call Bjergsen back. And
Dardoch is wasting a fair bit of time here because TSM actually spotted him on that ward. The pink ward that Immortals has in try did not spot it, but there they're going.
Heather grabs, lock him down, exhaust as well, and that is going to be Dardoch face tanking the Ash Arrow. Undertow onto Biofrost, a few more hits as Svenskeren is here to try and deter them from the fight, but he may just become part of it. Dardoch backs off once again and finds himself a few more.
I actually can't believe that TSM died to that, having spotted Dardoch on the ward. But they stay around. They overestimate their ability to escape that gank. And Olay with the flash ulti, they set that up easy peasy because Wild Turtle didn't have his flash. He used that top lane. So huge capitalize there from Immortals. TSM knew that Dardoch was around. They don't respect it. In he goes with the Ragnarok. Easy kill on a Turtle. Easy double on a Biofrost. And the first turret. Once again, a big swing in the game.
Jinx just as instead doing much better in that bot lane. They get hit up with the arrows, or not arrows, I should say.
I'm like, they're fine. They know he's there. They can't die to him, Riv.
Everything. See if they can come back. Playing in a very dangerous lane. Now, without that turret there, Turtle's going to push up a little bit more and try to keep himself safe. Biofrost now on the full roam as he tries to help out Bjergsen, give a little more resource to the mid lane, and see what they can do against Pobelter here. 126 to 110. Not too big of a disparity there for Pobelter, and both aren't getting the items they need.
Yeah, Pobelter's doing fine in what should be slightly a Cassiopeia favored matchup. Immortals ahead in the top lane, TSM kind of ahead in the middle lane as far as CS goes. But obviously, with these turrets going the way of Immortals, they really are getting a big influx of gold.
Just like TSM, not a few steps behind, going with their own plan right now. They realize they're losing top, losing bottom. But they're just going to focus their power here so they don't lose people trying to defend these turrets.
Yeah, and they could try to go for a dragon here, but if Immortals decides to continue to push towards the tier 2, they may need to send more people to respond. Looks like Immortals will back off, so far it's a trade of turrets. Svenskeren grabs that blue buff over. He's going to do a little bit of counter jungling, and we'll see if he does actually decide to make a move towards that dragon.
So now this game actually Levin's second level of ultimates became explosive, but what does this fight look like? Kind of what's the optimal fight for either team? Because both kind of just want to go, right?
Yeah, they certainly do, and I think that really we're going to see TSM looking for picks with the Nautilus catching people out, with the Ash Arrows catching people out, and assassinations from the Kazakhs. They're looking more for picks, and I think that Immortals is more just a run at you straight front to back toward a sort of team composition.
Slowly walk towards you as you're slowed. Can't do much. Riptide is out. It's only going to slow him so much. Pobelter comes around. He starts picking up a few more. And Immortals is able to catch one out for themselves, actually.
They certainly are. And Immortals has such a good Juggernaut comp with, with the Maokai in the front line, with Dardoch on this Olaf, double tank front line, Ryze charging in, able to really kind of beat in the fights on that mage. And then you have a fair bit of backline damage being added in from their bot lane. So definitely two very good comps. I think that Immortals has the easier to execute team composition.
That's scary as well. You think about the Ash Arrow coming in, Dardoch can be in the front to kind of take that.
Exactly. If it hits the Maokai or Dardoch, he can ult out of it. And if the Maokai gets hit, he doesn't usually care unless it's an odd number fight and you can kind of take him out quick.
A little more room to say oops on the side of Immortals here with an engage. 2,000 gold lead here in favor of Immortals. Still anything can happen in this game. And it's just ward clearing time. Is it maybe time for a Drake? Maybe Immortals feel they are strong enough to pressure a fight just for the Drake in general.
Yeah, they certainly could look for that. And so far, it's really been a duel of the junglers. And these are two of the very best junglers that the NALCS has to offer. Dardoch, really up and coming. Obviously, he is already established, but this guy is very young, only been around for a little while, and he has been crushing. And Svenskeren has proven himself as a world-class jungler. You know, he was dominating at Worlds, even though TSM did not get the results they wanted. He really showed up big time.
Looks like they will blast themselves over. Dardock's going to pick up Dragon with them. And you're absolutely right. Seeing Svenskeren, what he did on Lee Sin, seeing a jungler actually do that at that caliber of play and almost carry the entire team through an early game is huge. And now he looks for that again. Dardock as well, playing good. Kind of 3 or 4 champions down in his pool, depending on how many of those bans really matter to him. But this Olaf is not doing too bad, so.
No, he's doing great. And you know, one of the things about Olaf, I will say, and it's similar with Kha'Zix too, is that both these champions do kind of fall off towards the later stages of the game. At least Kha'Zix, you know, damage-wise does not fall off, but it becomes very difficult to teamfight on a full damage assassin. If you jump in and you get ulted by the Malzahar or rooted up by the Maokai, you can get taken out if you're not going to build tank. And for the Olaf, since you are building full tank, most of your damage is because of your base damages. It's not the AD that you're building and things like this. So your damage really starts to fall off as you get late into the game. Obviously, that's a far ways off. But these two junglers are definitely at strong points for them in the game with these early kills and their champions.
A little love for Pobelter. Knows he's safe due to vision as the team looks to grab mid. They're trying to spread TSM a little thin here. They've got Wild Turtle in the top lane, but still not enough pressure with Bjergsen and Biofrost there to clear waves.
I would love to see TSM try to look for more of these Ashe ults, try to throw some of these arrows out, try to catch people out, because I do think that that is really a big part of the strength of this champion and of their composition. And I just love seeing people fish for the arrows. Even if you miss, it's not that long of a cooldown. You can force summoners. Sometimes you get kills. And that's something that you need to kind of play to. You need to play to your strengths.
And they have to look to get wards forward. The last few minutes have been all Immortals in the river and just on their side of the map. You can see they have 2 up by the Rift Herald. So at this point, they really can't see anybody to hit an arrow unless they're at that mid turret. It's going to be difficult. Biding their time, not in too bad of a spot. They just don't want to walk out alone and get killed. That causes more problems. But you can see Immortals more than comfortable to get their semi-deep wards in, 1 by 1.
Yeah, and you can see Bjergsen paying a lot of respect to the crowd control from his opposing team, picking up the early Quicksilver Sash. You know, if you get Rune Prison, if you get locked down by that Rise, that can be all it takes to go down right away. So he would love to build for more damage, but I think this is an intelligent buy early on, and it's going to keep him safe, which is going to allow him to keep pumping out the damage in the fights and probably have more effectiveness overall.
I'm actually really impressed by what Immortals has done to TSM's vision here. They continue to back up. And they actually just cleared out one of the last wards they had that was in the river.
If you look across the map, there's no TSM wards on the Immortal side. None at all.
Sven locked up. Nothing to come of that, though. They are still respecting TSM's pressure. That is not something to be toyed with.
This is actually really interesting. So Sven is going to go for the early W upgrade. That's usually what you get at level 16. His second evolve was for that evolved W.
Yeah, good eye.
And this is something that I think does kind of bridge the gap in that team fighting. So it's hard to really jump in and have that big effectiveness, but evolving that W gives you increased poke, it gives you a massive slow on isolated targets, and it makes it easier to participate in team fights and sieging, as well as wave clear without fully committing yourself to the fight.
All right. Seems like Flame is done with top for now. He says, I will come and help mid for just a moment. Good push. There's the arrow we've been looking for. They have the vision to continue this one. TSM has all of Immortals stuck in mid lane right now. And there's the Ragnarok that comes out. I was wondering when the disengage would come through. Immortals did not find a way back in.
And this is nice for TSM because they have now gotten the ultimate from Dardock, ultimate down from Flame. You know, those guys are going to be a lot less tanky, and they can look to try to push out top lane or look around the map to try to get something done at this point.
Well, they held off very nicely for that time. They still have their mid turret as well. Turtle's going to wait for the minions. He may actually be calling for a little bit of help as he sees a few people coming towards him. And Immortals kind of reserves themselves now. Clear out the jungle. You don't need to pressure too much. That one fizzled out.
Yeah. Both these top laners really kind of have been holding back on their TPs, and we haven't seen anyone really pulling the trigger on these TP flanks, on going for that. And it does show that both teams are pretty confident in kind of just playing it slow and waiting for the right opportunities. No one's feeling like they're really under pressure to make a play just yet.
TSM was always a team that could pull out that 40, 45-minute ridiculous fight, come out on top with Bjergsen or somebody initiating very well. Not sure if that's going to be a Cassio. That'll have to kind of be off Immortals' mistake in an engage, but
certainly can be
potential's
sometimes.
there.
If people get too far forward, that Casio
Right.
can look for the ult flash. You stun up a couple people,
That's
that
true.
can be lights out for a team fight. And that is kind of the fine line you walk in competitive play. You can't be too safe, you can't be too bold, you kind of have to walk this dagger's edge, right? You know, we saw Dignitas playing yesterday where they lost the game, where they were massively ahead for so long because they wouldn't commit to taking a Baron, a risky Baron. They're too risk averse. And at the same time, if you go for it too early, if you take it too much of a risk, you get punished for that and lose the game that way too.
Wild Turtle's a good one to look at that. Do you rocket jump forward into the face?
Always, Riv.
Or rocket jump backwards? Both have happened. He sees both sides of the story. Things have slowed down in the way of kills here, as both teams powering up have to give each other space. It seems like they're getting a little too measured for their own good. They're not really going to be able to realize what happens in the next fight. I feel like that's somebody getting blown up quite a bit. Lost. 1-2. Who's going to be taken down? Svenskeren goes in, but the team surrounds Cody-san, so he actually can't get the spike damage on him, and Svenskeren attacks somebody else. Cody stays pretty healthy. Haunter goes in. Dardoch gets knocked up. He's just trying to stop the re-engage. The tanks kind of tickle each other, and we back out once again.
We do back out. That's the flash traded for Svenskeren and Pobelter.
Yep.
Pobelter actually missed the last Q there. Bjergsen was trying to come in and body block, but that's what we're talking about, how it gets very hard to team fight on this Kha'Zix. You jump forward, immediate Malzahar from Ole. He also still had the exhaust, wasn't even worried about the assassination kill, so it gets tough to make those calls, and that one he does survive, but not able to come away with a kill.
Oh, that's right. A few minutes here. Wait for the arrow, then a few, then they fire it. So at least we have a good pace for when the fights are going to be coming, besides some dragons engaged by Barons and Rift Heralds. This is good.
You can see the difference in builds from the 80 carries are going to kind of change that around as well, as Haunter may get ran down here. Does have his flash, but I don't know if he's going anywhere.
Flames on the top side. He's only going to hold towards mid. Pings are coming out. It looks like Bjergsen actually wants to fight in the river here as Haunter's getting taken down in the mid lane. Flashes, stays alive, but they look ready to take him down. The shield is not enough to stop that. This fight in the mid lane has got Svenskeren low once again. He just came back from getting himself healthy. The arrow to Cody-san. Oh, Ale leaves Cody-san out to dry for a quick second. And now it's going to be Ale too because he stayed. Oh, kills all over the map, but it's a triple for Wild Turtle.
Turtle with the huge triple as Ole leaves Cody-san out to dry. That's not how you support Riv. And TSM are going to turn right to the Baron. You can rush this down very quickly if you want to. You know, having Cassiopeia, but they're not going to elect to go for it. They are just going to establish vision, and here's the fight once again.
A little scattered. They wanted Ole, then they went for Flame, stuck with Flame, and it continues.
Flame was just so tanky here. He's able to absorb enough of the damage, kind of reconvene with his team. Then they get the turnaround on Svenskeren. There it is. The anti-support play from Ole is Cody-san goes down. Ole's going to go down as well right after. Triple for Turtle, and TSM claims vision around the Baron, and they can always threaten that. They didn't decide to go for it there, didn't have anyone tank it up, but Kha'Zix Casio kill Baron ridiculously fast, even without a Mountain Dragon. So that's something that they always can threaten, and Immortals always has to worry about.
It's gotta go fast game. Third Cloud Drake ready to spawn. That'd be great for Dardoch and Pobelter. Wow. They will be flying around the map. It's very hard to get away from those undertows and rune prisons. Cody-san, Ale back together. He's staying far away from Ole.
Yeah, the Cloud Drake. You're not my sport anymore.
Oh no, that's why! Ooh! TSM is waiting. As Syndra Elise used to be the brush they're in behind red. Now I guess it's the Kha'Zix Cass and the rest of the team in the mid brush. They're just changing things up.
Yeah, and they just want to shove down mid right away. They know Pobelter was not there, and TSM is going to look to posture very aggressively here.
There's a lockdown. Flame wants it. Haunter's in. Depth charge back to Pobelter to stop his damage. Also went through Flame for a little bit of help. Once they realize the tanks aren't taking any damage and nobody's reached the back line, again, we back off.
Yeah, and with Pobelter coming in there and the CC on Haunter under the turret, you do not want that fight anymore. So they threaten the dive, doesn't work out, but they walk away without having to blow anything major, so not a big deal there for TSM, and it was worth a try, because if Pobelter's out of position, you get those kills probably.
Few ultimates should be back up next time. Like you said, flashes, nothing was really used in that fight, and they should actually be up soon as well. Only 26 minutes into this one. Seems like it's actually been longer. but not a lot has been broken down. Mid's finally getting taken down here for the side of TSM in favor of Immortals, but the second-tier turrets standing pretty strong around the map.
They certainly have been, and to kind of take a look at what these two teams are probably looking for to win the game. You know, Immortals is really looking for the straight-up front-to-back 5v5 kind of team fights there, where you have the established front line, your back line pumping out the damage, and you look to kind of run it down at them. You can set those fights up by sieging, you can set those fights up by doing that sort of thing. And TSM obviously is looking for more of the picks. They're looking to spread out the map, catch someone with the Ash Arrow, jump out of bush as they did near mid lane, and get kills that way. So they are looking really for more advantageous fights in that way. And Immortals just kind of wants to smash the two teams together and look for that straight up 5v5. Even the AD carry builds suggest that, right? You have Cody-san going for a more auto attack focused build. He goes IE first instead of the Essence Reaver, so he's looking less utility and more killing front line, because Maokai works so well with that. Maokai can hold their front line for you, and you can kind of free fire on them, and it's a smart build because of that. I like seeing adaptations. I like seeing this kind of stuff out of new players especially.
That's one of the big parts as well, just in this season, is how much kind of respect is given to the new players by the team, how much they can play their own champions. They weren't even really pushed down too far on champions. We did see that Cody-san was given the Varus over Dardoch's jungler, which got pushed down. But still, like you said, the new build, team's okay with it. I mean, they're not going to tell them no. But you got to have confidence in that and confidence in the people you play with.
You certainly do, and it's not like a lot of these teams are trying to hide their rookies. You know, we've seen people put them out there on assassins, on big risk picks and stuff, and let them work their magic, and that's kind of, I think, what you have to do. You have to give your rookies the confidence to be able to play their game, right? You have to show them that respect and that faith that they can do what they think they can do.
We've seen it in a few teams already. C9 contracts, a few of the other players coming up as well. Acadian's been playing mighty fine.
Yeah, and even the teams, you know, where it's just new players, same kind of deal, right? You have to have that respect and that confidence in your teammates, whether they're a veteran or a rookie. If it's a new player, that has to kind of be built up. Good pick here from TSM.
Well, they look to respect and help Pobelter on this one. He does get the safety. Flame gets himself in. He is very, very tanky, and he is right on the front line. This is the fight that IMT wants. Turtle, however, getting good shots on a Dardoch. He's got to turn around, and great step back. Great kiting by TSM to turn this fight back in their favor. And now they grab a bit of rush control here. Immortals is going to try to get that wave to push. They're going to back out.
That was such nice cutting from TSM, and they started the fight out well. They got the catch onto Pobelter, but they couldn't burst them down. They couldn't land the CC and the damage they needed. So Pobelter gets out. Flame arrives with a TP. They set up their battle lines, and TSM had to kite out of there. Bjergsen and Turtle were doing a great job getting the damage in, running back and forth there, and that is what made Immortals disengage.
417 to 4...
That's triple cloud, isn't it?
402. He's flying.
These guys are going to be so fast, and this is something that kind of unlocks your split push that much more. Like, it looks like Olaf just has a permanent ghost on now. Like, you can run around the map, get catches so much more easily. You can have your guys in the side lanes, go for 1-3-1s, and it can even kind of change the win conditions you could have, because you can catch people out that much easier. Like, this is actually an insane amount of move speed.
That's why I was a little impressed, or a little interested when that third Cloud Drake came up to see, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. 3 of certain Drake can only spawn in 1 game, so we can't get another Cloud. And it's going to be the Elder anyways.
It's the Usain Bolt Drake, Crib. Puts you into overdrive.
Well, what a team to actually get this on. Like, you couldn't have more luck for that. You have the Storm Raiders for Pobelter, as well as the jungle. They are looking to go fast anyways.
Yeah, it's very scary for someone like Honster, who's already been caught out in the side lanes a couple times. Now, like, these guys can just zoom out of a bush. Like, Pobelter is running him down right now, you know, in bot lane, looking for this, and he's, until he gets hit, like, he has that move speed, right? So it's hard to get away.
It looks like they're giving him the room. Bjergsen should be able to take this one down. Yeah, Flame doesn't have enough vision around here to say, I can come and just stop that, because nobody's here. But he doesn't know that. Team's in mid, fending off a dark spot. Nobody is there as well. TSM is playing that one pretty smart to give Bjergsen a safe top.
Certainly. And
16's around.
Both these mid laners are getting so strong, right? They're hitting their important item break points. They both have their void staffs done. They're both on 3 items. There's the flash engage on a Turtle.
Denying a little bit more of that vision. It's just such a change in the game. That used to be a dark binding from the Fog of War. Now it's a flashing Melzahar.
Olay just full commitment there onto Turtle, and now does Immortals make the risk? Do they make the call to start up the Baron? Because they can start up the Baron, they don't have to commit to killing it. They can turn on TSM if they do come. We'll see what they do.
Just on the edge here, Biofrost will be the first in to start off some free damage.
Sven on the side, he looks...
Sven does not get in or get it. Flame uses him to Twisted advance out. The team's gonna have to either help him or go towards Flame.
Yeah, they get out of here.
Throws that Ghost on, gets his speed reduced from Cloud Drake though. Svenskeren tries to slow it. He says, leave me team, I am gonna go down, save yourselves. And Baron now for Immortals, 31-30 in.
It's Immortals with the catch, using the Malzahar with the flash all down to Turtle. He can't get out. They get another kill on Sven. They get the Baron. Flame denying Sven that opportunity to steal. He twisted advance, locks him down on the other side of the pit, and now it's Immortals going to push through, and they should be able to threaten for an inhibitor.
Yeah. Very close. You saw the Chain of Corruptions locking on.
And that was the QSS from Bjergsen there critically, so they got that down. If he gets caught by one more CC, they could look for the kill.
Whoa, Haunter finds himself going in. They take down Pobelter. That's a lot of AoE they don't need in that fight. On TSM's side, do they chase Flame or do they go for the right side in the squishies? It's going to be a Flame chase, knowing that GA is down.
Exactly.
It's going to feel good.
That's the double benefit of killing off someone like Flame. They get the GA, Bjergsen gets another kill, and it was Turtle that nailed the arrow onto Pobelter there. That is just sloppy play from Immortals. We talked about you need to have your Olaf or your Maokai standing in front of your damage dealers, soaking those arrows. If that arrow hits Maokai, TSM can't engage because Pobelter's right there ready to deal damage. Instead, Pobelter gets tagged, Dardoch and Flame don't block for him, he goes down, full retreat for Immortals. They lose a lot.
Taunts are continuing to go in, the team right behind them, and they start to find a few kills. Seems like IMT's comp gets a little too overzealous at the front door of TSM's base. See it one more time here.
And Pobelter is just kind of out to the side. You know, he can't be that far forward without his tanks in front of him. And he walks up, Flame and Dardoch don't block it. They're down without their damage dealer. Cody-san's Oom. Olay, you know, he's not going to do enough damage, so it's full retreat. And Flame loses GA, loses his life. And that's a lot of the power of the Baron gone. This should have been where Immortals cracks the base, where they get their big advantage. Instead, TSM hangs around, you give them more chances to make big plays like that, come right back into it.
Now the BF sword going in for Cody-san. More damage. Gonna make himself quite big. 12 to 11 now. Kills for kills here as we go back and forth between TSM and Immortals. Immortals did come off that victory yesterday. A bit shaky. They knew their mistakes, so they're going to come in strong today. And TSM really looking to right the ship off of what happened in their day one versus Cloud9.
TSM is actually pretty out of position here. Late bases as Pobelter's already kind of knocking at the door. They're pushing down mid lane here. And Immortals is looking to get some damage in on these turrets. They can just get the turret straight up, and that's sloppy play from TSM. And now Bjergsen gets tagged.
That QSS up again. Almost baits in Dardoch on that, but very correct in the sloppiness of leaving mid open.
I don't know
as well as not being able to clean up the bot there.
I don't know if you turn around to try to get that heal from Redemption there, because if Dardoch got tagged by the hook, oh cool, you have 300 more health. No, too bad you're dead. Like, the risk versus reward there, buddy. Keep on running.
He likes to play it risky.
Yep.
That's how Dardoch does it.
Still, they get the turret. That's great for them. So, you know, TSM kind of did stifle the Baron, but then they were caught sleeping a little bit. No one in mid lane, and Immortals just runs it straight down, cracks the inhibitor line.
Well, it's going to take time for TSM now. They got to push these wards up before they can really do anything alone. Top's going to have to be respected here for Immortals, so they'll get a little free time on that. And this breathing room here may be a kill for them, but it's just a sapling. Flame, very nicely done.
It's going to be kind of comical if Immortals gets Elder, because then all their bonuses get 50% multiplied. So think how fast they're going to be with Triple Cloud and Elder. They're just going to be zooming around everywhere.
It's going to be a forced fight. It is alive, and they are going to start heading down towards the bottom to get a little bit of vision to make this better.
We have to remember, TSM has no dragons, so even if they get Elder, they
true.
do not get the true damage bonus for each dragon that you have. So Immortals gets a ton from this, and TSM must contest to stop them from getting it, even though they do not get a lot. It's always a bad position that you can lock yourself into, and this is going to be a very decisive fight. You know, whoever wins this one could get Elder, and that could be the game.
They have time to play now. Waves are pushing on all sides of the map. They really don't have to worry about too much. Svenskaren's the first here in the eyes of Dardoch. He actually gets traded back a bit more damage than he's able to deliver there.
And Cody Sutton whiffs the ult there, tries to tag Svenskeren on the way out, isn't able to hit it.
Yep.
That may give them a little less confidence, and they are going to kind of back it up a bit here. Stop that posturing around the Dragon as TSM is just shoving down mid, trying to keep them away from the Elder. TSM now going to try to go back over to the Dragon Pit, really establish the vision. And this becomes this battle where one team gets vision. Whoa! Hanser going deep.
Whoa, Hanser didn't know his team was going to clear wards possibly. A lot of miscommunication. May have had the perfect target, but they are able to recuperate. This is what TSM is known for, these late game fights, making it work when it looks like it won't. And they get one on that. Immortals still able to disengage well on that, but they lose Flame, and he just came back up.
Yeah, and he's down for 50 seconds, so now it's going to be really tough for Immortals to stop this Elder, and TSM goes right onto it. Immortals may try to look to trade for the inhibitor. They're running down, they're pinging towards that. TSM will get the Elder. Can they get back in time to defend this? And it's looking like Immortals should be able to kill the inhib. It's a question of can they get out? Because Hanser has his TP. He could look for a flank here. Will be a risky exit for Immortals, and they're going to try to go to topside. This is really smart. Yep. Such nice use of that ult.
Realm Warp question towards blue.
Oh, that is a bad TP from Hanser.
And yeah, Hanser TP's in. Actually looked like he was going to go for it with the passive home guard on, but he just wanted to clear the way.
Yeah, I think he was just like worried about the turret, but I think at this stage in the game, it's not worth your TP for that because now Flame is coming up. He has his TP. Hanser will not have one of his own to match, so Flame can kind of push in a side wave. And if Hanser does not answer that, they're going to be losing those minions. They're going to be losing that pressure. And he will not have the TP, so if he does go to answer it, Flame can TP away and look for a fight. And that seems like a very costly TP for very little from Hanser.
All right, want to see something happen from that. Usually we see these windows quite a bit. Nothing comes of it. It'll just fizzle out, or the team already had a few steps in plan, and they follow that book. Don't come up with the TP play that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also, when that does happen, a lot of times, it's credit to the team that has the TP advantage. Or disadvantage, rather.
Right,
because, you know, TSM is going to obviously try to play in such a way that it does not come into play, that it does not matter. But you can see Immortals is trying to force that. Maokai already in the bot lane, going to be shoving this, knowing that Hanser can't go down there to answer it. If he goes down to answer it, look at that ward in mid lane in the lane. They're going to have him TP. So they're going to try to force Baron. This is the answer. They're going to try to get the TP out of Flame this way. Risky, though, because they could get trapped in the pit.
Olay just flashed forward. His is down, so he's a bit of a target. Spell Shield is on for right now. Redemption goes down from Biofrost.
Here's the TP now.
Once again,
finally making him commit to it.
He's coming from lane, so it won't be with a home guard.
Sven is low. Good chains of corruption.
They're on to Biofrost. Nethergrass hits him. He just explodes before Nethergrass can even end. Flames, Guardian Angel is back up here along with Hanser, so they realize that in the fight. It's always this one and then back away. Both teams don't want to lose too much right now.
Look at this. Immortals is trying to stop the base of TSM while Pobelter pushes towards bottom for that wave that they have already built up. So they've delayed it somewhat, but they don't want to face check. And TSM is doing a great job in these team fights for kiting it out, but that was smart play from both sides. So TSM, we talked about the TP advantage. That's how they get rid of it. They start up the Baron. Now Immortals goes straight to it. They saw some players complete their backs. They know they may not be ready for this, but Svenskeren is here. Bjergsen is coming in, has his ultimate and the flash, could look for a play.
Olay taken down. It's going to be Svenskeren in. It goes to Dardoch. Immortals once again grab Baron. And they are going to be able to drop a few more after that. Cody Sun comes up with a kill for himself. And now it's going to be the fight in. Dardoch doing what he can to stay alive. Flame has just about a sliver of mana, so he can't really crowd control. Cody comes back in. This is the auto attacks. If he can get them, Hanser slaps him down with the anchor, and he tosses it back over to Flame. Bjergsen trying to stay alive. The spell vamp comes through in the blue buff.
And Cody's son didn't use his heal there. He was trying to come up big, didn't pull the heal. I'm not sure if it just came up after, but I think he should have just got out. He could have just based, but Pobelter is 1v2ing them in the base, kills a Nexus turret, kills an inhibitor. Pobelter coming up huge while they're delaying, and that's probably why they made the call for Cody's son to get in there.
Watch, they're making the call. Here he is, trying to end the game for his team. Makes it in. He's been doing work on that bot lane for a little bit. Flame had prepped that lane for so long.
And Flame's still alive.
Yeah,
they couldn't kill him. What even is this champion rim?
Bjergsen had to leave because he got enough mana for a sapling when he came back up from GA. What a fight.
What happens when a tree falls in the woods, you're not around to see it? Comes back to life.
No,
it's been answered.
It doesn't fall. The tree is still standing.
Yeah, I guess Bjergsen went top lane. didn't want to risk going down, but they're not able actually to kill off Flame. And that was like a 4-minute fight in the Baron pit or something. We're going to have to get a slow motion raid play. Wind it back, Riv. Play-by-play that for me.
Longest cast ever. All right. 15-14. Back and forth. 1-for-1 or a few others. TSM now was able to grab a few more there, obviously, but what a neck-and-neck game we have going on now between IMT and TSM.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, map pressure-wise, Immortals miles ahead. They still have all their tier 2s, and they have cracked the base, right? But TSM is getting to the point where Bjergsen is insanely strong right now. He has his death cap completed. He's going to be a monster, but there's so much map pressure in the favor of Immortals that it's tough to play around this. And Pobelter's already shoving up mid. He's trying to make people come back and deal with this, trying to make them answer the bot and the mid waves, while the rest of his team will push top, they will look for that turret, and they will try to kind of close the loop and get the last inhibitor. And Pobelter is really playing this quietly very, very well. You know, wasn't involved in the Baron fight, but he was really the MVP of that fight, taking down the inhibitor and the Nexus turret.
The guy who plays off the ball. Sometimes you don't have your eye on him, and he's doing good things.
He's a dirty blue liner.
Sitting out there cherry picking. Yep. All right, here we go. Top side pressure coming in from Immortals, and Pobelter's still hanging out in the bot by himself. Looks like he has a date with the Nexus turret in just a few seconds, actually. He's going to start to route the team, actually, go for the inhibitor first. All right, depth charge onto Pobelter. Goes
now the rest
on the arrow. He steps up. He's going to be able to go invuln. No GA for him, though, after this. Just the Seraph's Embrace for the shield, giving the team enough time to now fully open TSM space. Svenskeren hopping around to try and get some damage. They
need to get out of here, though. There's the TP from behind. This is going to be huge for TSM.
Oh, here comes Monster lumbering into the fight. Misses on Ole. Turtle inside the base. Biofrost in front of him.
On the side.
Hits him with the Cryptic Gaze on the back, and it still does a huge amount of damage. TSM has been waiting for this fight, and they break Immortals clean open. Svenskeren over the wall. The slows from the Void Spikes, and they are going to get another kill for themselves. A doubles for Sven. And the base loses its last Nexus turret.
TSM pulls the rabbit out of the hat. Such a nice play there. They get the hard collapse onto Pobelter, and they make the TP play, clean up the rest of the squad.
1-for-1, but that was a big one, right? That was your inhibitor and turret kind of thing for their team. So the trades they're making, maybe it's a big investment.
They needed to make that play, you know? And that was very well done by them in a tough situation.
Absolutely.
They are getting very, very strong at this point. Yeah, and you can see Haunter coming in from behind, and now Immortals is like, well, we can't go that way, so they try to turn for the fight. They try to make the best of a bad situation, but Turtle kites back. Bjergsen, alt flash there, nails all the members of the team, doesn't get the stuns, but does get the damage, and look at him just flying in, picking up multiple kills, and then Svenskeren, no way you can get away from those Void Spikes. It's an 80% slow with the evolution. So Flame was going nowhere.
Like Turtle there in the beginning, being the first one in line, chasing them out down the lane.
That's classic Turtle. It's a Wild Turtle special.
Wild Turtle indeed.
He's a frontliner, he's an AD carry, it's an all-in-one package, Riv.
What a pickup. What a pickup. Now you just need the pentakill like you did last time, right? Yep. In that initial game. So now we're 45 minutes in. Those are the fights that TSM can make happen for themselves, but like we said, the choices are still costing them a few things. Possibility of a comeback is still there. Immortals knocking at the door now with just the top inhibitor to take down, along with, I believe, still a damaged middle inhibitor.
Yeah.
So, and TSM here going for broke.
It's very scary for TSM. All help. I mean, they must keep winning fights. If you lose one fight, the game ends. So they need to win these fights. And Bjergsen on the side, he is spotted by this ward, doesn't know it just yet. Was looking to try to create a pick onto Pobelter there, but now Immortals pushes in. Oh, Monster's looking.
Bjergsen making sure to clear the wave. Knows he can come in a little bit late and still affect the fight at 7, 1, and 9. Playing huge from the mid lane this game to keep the team in it. Concert, consistent initiations to just kind of deter Immortals here.
And Bjergsen has to run to the bot side to clear out that wave.
Top and bot. But so much work.
All the inhibitors are back now, so the waves won't just naturally push to TSM anymore because the super minions are not going to be spawning. So TSM kind of has weathered the storm somewhat. There's still always a threat. One bad fight, you lose the game. Immortals has more room to work with because they have multiple lines of turrets up. But when you get to the 50-minute stages, if they lose a really bad fight, they can just walk up mid and kill everything, which is a horrible feeling when you're this far ahead for so long.
as well. That's a question too, is where is the closeout here? Props to TSM as well for putting up a huge wall to stop Immortals from getting anywhere close after inhibitor turrets. But
it feels like
where's that close?
Who blinks first? Who makes the first mistake, right? And, you know, if someone gets caught, if we see a flash ulti from Olay or Cody Sun nailing an ulti, something like that, or on the other side, Turtle hitting an ultimate, you know, they can go for kills like that, but Immortals still does have the win condition of the Elder Dragon, right? And the Elder Dragon's going to be up in 50. There's risk for TSM to go out on the map and contest these because someone from Immortals can just walk into your base and kill off your inhibitors.
15 on Baron as well. Elder pretty big in this sense, so we'll just see maybe a little jockeying around this. They'll work their way down river and actually fight for Elder. Good dodge out.
Field goal.
Yeah.
It's good.
Flame's waiting about maybe 30, 40 seconds on his flash to come back up, as well as a teleport for Hanser, so maybe they're just kind of giving themselves a little room.
Yeah, and you can see pings to the top lane. Pobelter, you know, wants to move over there, get that lane shoving. They want to create the wave-meeting pressure, get TSM to respond to this, then move quickly towards the Baron or something. But Pobelter may be caught out here, may have bitten off more than he can chew. Immortals is rushing Baron.
So he doesn't get knocked up. It's going to take him a little bit more time, but this is close. Turtle has no arrow to fire through.
Kill this
they
and then
can
get
see
out.
Maybe through the hawk shot. Bjergsen uses the Quicksilver. Gets silenced after that. Very nicely done. They're going to stay in the pit. Again, Dardoch back playing the competition. And they're going to get out a few. Flame's going to be staying in. The team is running. They need this Baron. It's going to be huge to play the lane.
That is so bad for Flame. He actually fail flashed into the wall there. Couldn't get out. Gives up his life and the GA. And it's going to be a massive respawn timer. Almost 70 seconds.
Wow.
But Immortals is trying to rush down 3-man the Elder Dragon, which TSM is not expecting this. They're not expecting this at all.
Sven might be. He's making his way down the river as fast as possible. 47 HP. They've already done half, and he's halfway there. They're going to be able to tear this thing apart.
Well, Immortals takes the objectives off the map, but with Flame down, it is tough. And these are some risky calls that are being made. Pobelter had already been taken out. Sven Skaren does not land the smite. Too early there. Not timed with his Q. He might have been able to get it, but Dardoch coming through clutch, because if that went the way of TSM, it could have meant the game. So still big time play there from Dardoch to nail that, but Flame gives away a lot more than they would have liked to.
Fights valiantly for the Elder.
Well, once again,
shiny Immortals making their way down mid lane. They actually don't have Rise or Flame, or I'm sorry, Rise or Flame, Pobelter or Flame with that Baron on. So the side lane's probably just gonna have to run it together, but that's not a problem when the whole base is open.
They really would like to push and get their fight with the Elder Dragon buff.
Yeah.
This true damage burn is so massive in taking out these fights, and they want to get out there. Flame has his TP. Pobelter's pushing down on the bot side, and they want to move this 4-man squad immediately in and look for a fight before it expires. TSM would love to delay this and really look to avoid a fight while Elder Dragon is active. So that's what the two teams are trying to do here.
Drop portal paced out in the bot lane here by Haunter. Hopefully they can fight against the minion waves a little bit more. Control wards being placed all over now. We may not even have room in the inventories for those, but a few are getting placed out as they look to pressure mid first and open that up.
And look at this 6-item build from Cody Sun. He's even sold up his boots, so he has the Essence Reaver, he has QSS, he has 80% crit, and he has the Elder. So at this point, Varus Qs are going to do so much of your life, especially if you are a squishy guy. You can really get chunked down by that pretty easily. And well, I don't even know if you want that on Dardoch, even if you hit him. They did get Zonias from Pobelter though in the background there. I'm not sure if that was a panic one or what that was, but Immortals closing in on both sides. We'll see if they can get it.
Dardoch feeling pretty good about the situation now in the bot. Team's got half health on that mid lane with a siege minion.
Elder almost expiring.
Elder's almost about to expire, so they want to kind of put their foot down here. Mid gets taken down, they get a little bit out of it, but TSM's holding quite nicely.
They are, and I mean, they're giving up not too much, right? They're only giving up the one inhibitor. They want to probably fight for the second. You don't want to give this one up for free with no turrets left on the map. Bjergsen's going to heal up. They're going to come back out, and they will look to fight at this inhibitor. I don't think you could afford to give up 2 in this stage of the game.
Cody Sun's hovering top side. That actually could clip him on an Ash Arrow. It's up in about 10 seconds. He puts himself now to the back line. Much better positioning. And Turtle looking for an arrow. They find Dardoch.
Dardoch
Can they
has no
burn
ult.
him down? No ult on the Ragnarok. One more hit. The poison's ticking. He's getting out with the heal. He's going to stay alive. They can't get him. Now Immortals has the chance to focus, but Flame gets taken down. The GA's gone from the failed flash.
Bjergsen's
Monster
crushing
gets
everyone.
another shield as Bjergsen can stay on the back line and just fang the pain in to the entire Immortals squad. Dardoch in the middle here is the one that could go down. He's going to keep running. Olay heads bot. What can TSM do after this?
And they can look to push, they can look to try to run all the way down and see what they can get done. But look at the Immortals, ulting into the base, they're gonna go to the back door! They're gonna game this! Turtle is back, Turtle is back!
He should be able to do it. Look, Bjergsen doesn't even look phased right now. Turtle tries to get the hit. Sends Garen back as well. Dardoch very low health, so he's got the fast out. They're able to cancel it.
TSM could go down mid. They can look to try to get something done. They're TPing top lane as they already have minions there. Haunter is going to try to knock down at least this turn. We'll see how fast TSM can get up and if they can look to end the game.
Oh, he might be out.
The respawns are so long.
This could be it. This is what happens when you get 50 minutes. All 5 members drop, and it can be a coast-to-coast race for the opposing team, and that's TSM right now. They're going to go top lane. It's already open, and they will try to end this. It'll be Flame up, but he's going to go down just as fast with probably Cody's son and the likes of Olay just after.
Yeah, and I think this is game rib. I don't think there's anything they can do. Bjergsen and Wild Turtle have arrived. The first Nexus turret is down. Cody's son's about to respond, but it's going to be a 2v5. They must try to fight right now.
Second Nexus turret goes down. The 80 carries left. Cody's son is there. The Nexus is down. TSM with the comeback victory in game 1 of the series.
And what a game it was. Immortals makes the risky call. They go for the back door, but Turtle is already there, shuts them down, and TSM walks it down, ends the game. What a comeback. What a game to start this series off.
See, Pobelter actually headsets on, was just communicating with the team there before they depart from the stage to discuss this. Before the second game of the series, and what a game that was to be in full control with turrets down, winning those fights pretty handily. And to be stalled out, not being able to find that solution is so frustrating in a game.
I just felt like TSM played those team fights so well. I would have thought that having the Maokai would lend you that advantage in the front-to-back team fights, but Turtle and Bjergsen were kiting back and forth so well, getting so much damage out that it felt like Immortals could never crack the front line and kind of get through to really deal those killing blows. And TSM just hung around for so long. They kept winning fights at their base.
Yep.
And then when you're 50 minutes into the game, one fight, doesn't matter that you hadn't killed any of those turrets. They just end the game.
It continued to happen. There was a 32-minute one, and then a 40, and then obviously the 52-03 that ended it in 10, 1, and 11. Bjergsen, who was hit up in that mid lane very early, kept himself safe and helped to carry the team. Now for a deeper dive into that tight game, let's send it over to our analyst desk.
Thank you very much. We have a very back and forth game between Immortals and TSM. TSM coming out on top here, but it didn't look pretty for either team. And in particular, in the draft, Immortals, obviously a bit of a communication error. We heard from Jat some of that insight from Hermes around the, still working through communication issues with Olay, missing a ban there, intended to be Nautilus in ban phase 2. Let's talk about that misban.
Yeah, and I think it's the kind of thing where when you look at it, it could have been very important to either get a better topside matchup or a better jungle matchup, because you assume that either TSM changes the Rek'Sai ban there to ban out the Maokai and stop Flame from getting that, or they keep the Rek'Sai ban, but then you don't have to play against the Nautilus, you're playing against a Shen, or a little weaker of a tank. So in that sense, it is very painful to lose that ban.
And changing up the tank that you're playing against, the front line that you're playing against, is so important, because so many of these team fights, you have to work through the front line. And if you're already going this far down the tier, then you turn into things like Shen and Singe, which are more split pushy, much less of a secure front line like Nautilus, or is going something like Carry, and it completely changes the face of the game where he has to split push.
Absolutely. And I want to return to something we talked about a little bit yesterday, Mark, in Dardoch as a player, where he's a very explosive player, right? He's the kind of guy who can be aggressive, akin to Acadian, getting lots of first bloods, and really accelerate the pace of a game and get his team ahead. At the same time, we can see errors kind of riddled in between some of these good decisions.
Right, so this is a great regank on the top side. They are able to TP back in with Flame getting there first, keeps Monster under turret, they dive. Here, he gets a great chase down kill onto Bjergsen. Everything's looking great. Dardoch's popping off, good mechanics.
Filled with confidence.
Oh yeah, great play out of Dardoch. And you're like, this guy's going nuts. And then you see stuff like this where the dive, they're switching targets. You have no idea who they really want to go on. and then they're going to get collapsed on and ultimately feed back a bunch of kills.
Yeah, and in this one, he actually ends up picking up the rest of the kills. But to me, the big one, I think it was a little bit before this, was again around mid lane, where he tries to repeat and gank the mid lane again. But he goes in, isolates himself 1v3 versus a Kha'Zix and Cassiopeia, and just gets blown up completely. I thought that clip really showed the overconfidence, where he's like, yeah, we got him on the run, but suddenly you get two-shot by Kha'Zix, and there's a reason that champion is so highly prized.
Yeah, and if you want a fun stat, he had 200% kill participation in a sense where every single kill for the first 23 minutes of the game revolved around him. All TSM kills were involved in the Dardoch play, all Immortals kills, same way.
Yeah, he was involved in every fight that netted a kill or death for either team up to that point. And this is the thing, is like, I love aggression out of players, but it's got to come with crispness, because unbridled aggression is where those plays get turned on you. Exactly. And that's kind of why I think, to a degree, this game was kept as close as it was for so long, and TSM wasn't in such a drastic hole that they couldn't climb out of.
Right, and I think a good play to look at is that 23-minute thing that we were talking about, where Dardoch and Pobelt are making a play on the bot side of the map, and out of nowhere, Flame takes a W in to start a fight on the top side with little vision. Like, best case scenario, that's not a 4v3 and you maybe get a pick, but then they end up feeding a bunch of kills, giving TSM the momentum back.
Yeah, there were a bunch of opportunities that we could cherry pick, but even the way the game ended, right? They make this call to try and rush towards the Nexus while there are recalls going on, and man, let's
get a refresh on that, because as it was a long game with plenty of fights, let's take a look at the final one here. This is taking place in the bot lane, and then of course Immortals is going to take a final stab at backdooring the Nexus before losing the game.
Right, the thing about this team fight is that there are a lot of resources down on the side of Immortals. Flames GA has still been popped. Dardoch doesn't have his ult here, so he's just running slowly away, barely staying alive, and there's so many things being used by Immortals to keep Dardoch alive. They're not actually able to frontline correctly, which gives TSM a pretty free chase down over the course of this fight. They're able to finish off Cody's son. They're going to spend a lot of time chasing Ale, and that's where you're going to see Pobelter and Dardoch make the split-second decision to turn around and actually try and backdoor end the game.
Yeah, and every second matters when you're trying to do that. Remember that hawk shot that was just shot over there? That's why they couldn't immediately, make that call, but there they go. Try and get inside the base, and the recalls were instantly started after they killed Ale. So no trick there for TSM, and they do get it. I have to say, though, Turtle's flash right there was pretty necessary. He almost went down, and maybe with one less person, something changes, but yeah, not really. After you make that call to go for the Nexus, that's a do or die.
Exactly. And Mark, these decisions that Immortals are making feel very split second. It doesn't feel like any decisions are made 3 minutes in advance, and now let's play this out one step at a time. That was a reactionary decision to try and extend the game and or end it.
Yeah, and we see that, all game long, and they talked about communication issues they're having with Ale, and they haven't even been able to play with him. He was one of the last members to arrive. That's where most of your vision does come from, and to make decisions ahead of time, you need vision ahead of time, and that's probably one of the things that they're missing, not to mention, working with all these new members in the language.
The one nice thing I'll say about it is it's good to see that they do have decisive shot calling in that sense, where when they get in these kind of scrappy situations, they are proactive. They're not like completely panicking. They're on the same page. It's just not necessarily good calls, and we don't see the basic standard setup calls.
Right. I think I'd rather be in a 50-plus minute game where we're constantly making decisive calls than be in one where we're just happy farming and not doing anything and taking no opportunities to win. I do want to transition, though, over to TSM, in particular talk about Bjergsen, who's going to receive Player of the Game. An impressive scoreline on Cassiopeia for what was a very bloody game, only one death coming out for him.
Yeah, he also had some key ultimates on Cassiopeia where he was able to win team fights for the team, flashing in with that. But honestly, TSM did not look what you really want to see from the team either. So I don't think they come out of this one super excited, and filled with confidence. We'll see about the next game in the series, though, because there's definitely work for both teams, and it was close. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you have to say is you have Bjergsen looking on point again, as opposed to how he looked in the game on Friday versus C9. This is a step in the right direction, but we just need to see the rest of the team kind of start gelling around him more.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll see if TSM can carry this momentum into Game 2 or if Immortals can bounce back. We'll be back in just a bit.
It's like we're an orc army. Orc on 3! Hey,
that's Lizard, right?
It's not Ogre yet.
Ragnarok is on. One more undertow is going to bring him in range. Oh, he turns it as the Ragnarok wears off. Dardoch gets his bus back, but I don't think it'll happen for very long. Undertow hits, and nobody's gonna get these ones. No, it's the hit on Turtle. He may live. Turtle flashes forward to clean it up, and the bus keep going.
All right, Cats is reacting.
Oh, he's slow, he's slow.
Got him.
He's slow, he's slow, he's slow. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
I healed you. I cannot follow.
Cody's son. Oh, Ale leaves Cody's son out to dry for a quick second, and now it's gonna be Ale too, because he stayed.
We're going! Slowly. Chase slowly.
I've exhausted.
I'm going around.
They're turning.
Turtle inside the base. Biofrost in front of him.
On the side.
Hits him with the Cryptic Gaze on the back, and it still does a huge amount of damage. The poison's ticking. He's getting out with the heal. He's going to stay alive. They can't get him. Now Immortals has the chance to focus, but Flame gets taken down. The GA's gone from the failed flash.
Bjergsen's crushing everyone.
Another shield as Bjergsen can stay on the back line and just fang the pain in to the entire Immortal squad. The Nexus is down. TSM with the comeback victory in Game 1 of the series. Welcome back to the NALCS. We're gearing up for Game 2 between TSM and Immortals, and what a Game 1 we just had. Some 50-plus minutes in. Immortals the whole time on TSM's side of the map, and then TSM said, let's win the game.
It was a crazy one, man. And Bjergsen was incredible. He had
amazing.
1 death, and it's worth mentioning that was like 4 minutes in the game. He basically did not die in 50 minutes of like nonstop team fighting, of Baron fights, and he played incredible, and he really carried it. And I think that's important to see as a TSM fan, that he's right back on form after that.
You mentioned that kill. That was Immortals trying to go hard early. Dardoch actually had good pathing, and it looked pretty clean.
It definitely did, and Immortals had a fantastic early game, but they couldn't close it out, even though they had some advantages. You know, Pobelter getting caught a number of times in the late game was really big. You know, he seems to struggle on how far he could play up and stuff, and Immortals never really dealt that killing blow. And you always are going to have to wonder, how big was the missed ban on Nautilus? I mean, yeah, they smashed him in lane, but I think that Haunter played great in the later stages of the game, and he was very effective in the team fights. How would the game have looked if that was like a Shen or whatever?
They absolutely picked on just about every lane, right? They had Haunter at the turret 2 or 3 times where he had a no escape death, and that feels really bad, but still keeps himself in the game, as you were saying. We're just about to head into picks and bans to see what happens for the second set here. Obviously, Immortal's going to be on that blue side, so we'll get things switched up. But after that mid part of the game, it seemed like TSM kind of reserved themselves to knowing, like, we're really behind. Let's save face in the fights, get a few kills if we can. We can go down, that's fine. And we know we have to fight really late. And it seemed like they knew that condition from very early.
That's a very important skill to have. You know, Kobe was talking earlier about one of the most important things that a jungler has to show is that they can play from behind. It's true of an entire team, right? Being able to extend an advantage and exploit weakness when you're massively ahead is one thing, but TSM really did show that they know how to hang around in the game. They know how to stay alive, take the fights that they can fight, give up what they have to give up. You know, even to the very end, giving up the first inhibitor when they knew they couldn't contest it, then fighting hard for the second one as Elder Dragon was expiring, and it was the right choice. It worked out for them here.
Zyra, Ashe, let's just go for the bot lane. Take it out. I don't want to play against that, says Immortals. 1-2 for their fan phase 1. And the Camille, LeBlanc, and possibly Rango Knife Cat for the last one on TSM side.
So Immortals not wanting to give up that second phase Malzahar support really kind of shows that they're not willing to first pick it. They're not willing to first pick the Ashe. That's what TSM did last time. So they're saying, we won't first pick it, so you're not getting a second rotation, because they know that TSM wants that, and TSM very likely going to take out their ban on Rengar here. One of the things that is important to remember is because there's less time per pick in this draft phase, a lot of teams will take the full 30 seconds, even if they know their pick within the first 5, because they'll talk about the next steps in the draft, what they have to do later, so they hopefully don't have a misstep like what happened with Immortals there last time.
Get to save a little bit of time. Roll it over, if you will. Mid lane pick for Pobelter takes out the Syndra first. Continues to play a different set of champions around the board. Nicely done there.
Yeah, and Syndra is certainly first pick worthy. It's very, very strong. And this probably will prompt a response of a mid laner in the first 3 picks from TSM. But Ryze is on the board. Cassio's on the board. It's not like he's going to be pushed way down in the priority. So I don't think that TSM is going to feel too concerned about this.
Sure, Bjergsen knows the matchup quite well.
Yeah, of course.
Haunter taking up Wild Turtle's Varus. So they say, oh, Cody Sun, you're going to ban 80 carries. We'll take that Varus you feel so comfortable on in the beginning of the LCS here. Lee Sin is led through, and Svenskeren is going to grab that.
And I believe that was banned away last time.
Yes, it was.
So
it was phase 2, ban 1.
Exactly. So Sven is going to be able to get one of his signature champions. He is known for having one of the best, if not the best, Lee Sin in the league. This guy is incredible as a champion. Excited to see him perform on it after what we saw him do to people at Worlds.
Really. I mentioned earlier, I was like, yeah, he can carry the game 1 through 5. He gets everybody. But it was also the 30, 40-minute late game where you feel like Lee Sin falls off, has to make a beautiful kick to initiate a fight, which he's doing over and over again.
And that is the strength of the champion, right? You have this powerful early game where you can kind of do it all yourself. Later in the game, you're not the one executing those kills, but you can still make the big-time plays. Kick in the right target, that can end the game. And Svenskaren's a guy who can set it up. But Dardoch is looking at the Kha'Zix, so he's going to get a really powerful assassin jungler. Won't be pushed down so far in that priority, but they're giving up quite a bit to do this. So they lock in the Maokai, great. You have a great jungler, you have a great top side of the map, but now it's Cody Sun who may pay for this. We may see more of the target bans on the 80 carries, because Ashe was already banned out by Immortals themselves. So TSM knows they only have to put 1 ban on Jhin, then they can ban a non-utility.
Exactly.
And where does Cody Sun go? How deep is his champion pool?
And really, we figure out what kind of the changes from last game, because where Dardoch's Kha'Zix was Cody-san's Varus. That second pick was for him. Dardoch said, I'm going to get focused, go down to the Olaf. So now we see the flip side of that, where it's Cody that gets focused. Rise now, as that's going to go up against Pole Belter's Syndra for Bjergsen.
And it is the Jhin, so this is the kind of trifecta of utility AD carries. And that is okay. There's other great champions you can play. You know, we saw Twitch being played. We've seen Vayne in other leagues. There are a lot of options, but how much confidence does Cody-san have in playing them? Does TSM double ban here, or do they say, hey, we don't actually care what you play past this trifecta. Now we can start focusing your support too. This is an interesting question for TSM. I'm very excited to see what they're going to go for. I would expect another AD carry ban pile on.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Take away the safe option for him, safe kind of farming option. Now he must play something that is kind of pretty aggressive or kind of very scaling champion.
And we did see Twitch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a Piglet thing in comfort, but
could be
still
Twitch.
saw it was a bit viable with the composition, able to protect him.
Could
be a
be
bit of long
Vayne,
range.
Sivir. There are a lot of options, right? But what he goes for is going to be answering a lot of the questions here.
Hanser going to get his poppy toppy. That'll feel real good for him. They're going to wait. Like you said, they probably know Hanser's going to get that, but they have 15 seconds to go ahead and talk this out. You can see Parth chatting it up.
Exactly. You can talk about, hey, okay, what do we want to do if they pick X? What do we want to do if they pick Y? You already know you want that Poppy. And Immortals does ban out the Nautilus this time, so they're going to have the matchup they probably expected for last game, which would be the Maokai versus the Poppy. You know, that's another tank, or the Shen, something like that. But it's not going to be Hanser on the Nautilus, and we'll see how he's able to perform on a playmaker like Poppy.
10 seconds left on this pick.
All right,
also Caitlyn as well. Get that range in there. Continue with a bit of the other poke that you have.
And it makes a lot of sense. You know, this is the safer pick than going for some of those hyper carries that we had discussed. Caitlyn, obviously fantastic sieging champion, has been very popular in the past, but it has not really been popular this year in this patch, in this meta. Has fallen off a lot. Morgana, very interesting pick. I think it can work quite well against these kind of compositions if you can time it well. But I mean, the problem is there's quite a few things that you can use to kind of poke it off. Obviously, if you get hit by one Q from Bjergsen, your Black Shield is gone. But if you use that perfectly, then you can immune Lee Sin kicks, you can immune the Corruption Chains from the Varus as well. I think there's almost no way Biofrost picks the Thresh because he's countering himself into the Morgana. I'm very likely going to be the
I was thinking that. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to see it still.
That'd be some confidence.
Trick it up.
Yeah.
So Ole does go back to the Morgana. Played that yesterday as well. He likes those Fog of War initiations, whether he's, like I said, flashing forward on Mel's or doing it any other way. So compositions definitely switch up here. They trade jungler over to Dardoch's side for that Kha'Zix. We'll see how they continue this game. It is Cody-san we're kind of watching on Immortals' side here, as he is the one that was kind of pushed down to Caitlyn on this one. And TSM has gotten a great draft for themselves.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty worried for the Immortals bot lane here because Cody-san has been pushed down quite a lot. He's a new player. Ole is a new guy with the team as well. You know, they're still building that synergy, and I think that TSM has a much better bot lane matchup here. Karma into Morgana, I think, is very strong. The Black Shield, yeah, sure, you're reducing team damage, but you're not stopping CC or anything really, unless you get like a root from Karma W, but that's probably not going to happen.
And I don't think you're alone in the fear for their bot lane, because it was Zyra, Ashe, Malzahar, Taric that they banned as well.
Yeah.
So they could get somewhat of an easy go here. It doesn't look like they may have it. It's going to be toe-to-toe for these 80 carries and bots. You see Karma Varus versus Caitlyn Morgana, switching it up as well. Fullbelter brings out the Syndra. We'll see if he can power through Bjergsen this time, who came through 10, 1, and 11 on that cast after dying just once in the early game.
He was crushing, and Rise is another champion he has shown he can do the same thing on. And to your point, it's very interesting when teams do kind of ban out bot lane for their opponents, and then their opponents turn around and kind of throw that right back at them, right? So they were banning out their opponents to try to get a good setup in the first draft phase. But because they did that, Wild Turtle still got the Varus, Biofrost still got the Karma, I feel like they weren't very effective, and they're the ones who kind of ended up having those bans used against them.
And this will be Turtle's spring split start on that Varus. It was Kalista Ashe for him previously versus Cloud9.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good on the Ashe. The Kalista game really did not kind of pan out, even though he had some kills. His damage was very, very low, and he was trying something with of a pretty new build. You know, he went Essence Reaver, he went Death Dance, things that are not commonly associated with the Kalista. And while I could understand the thought process behind it, it made a lot of sense. It didn't work out for that game.
30 seconds until
Like a
minions
big line of scrimmage here. Not even some just deep wards or vision to see if they are holding their spot on the other side of the map for either team. We'll see how Haunter can actually take control of this lane as well. If he gets a little pressure for Svenskeren, it could be quite nice for him. Add a little bit more pressure early on the map.
Certainly could, and it's a lane that can definitely go both ways. You know, the Maokai obviously has fantastic gank assist if Kha'Zix wants to come in. One interaction you'll have to look out for there is how good Haunter is with his W, that heroic presence, because that can actually stop Dardoch leaping in on the Kha'Zix to go for those kills. Yep. So, you know, the interactions there are pretty interesting. Another thing I also do really personally like about Morgana is how easy it is to trigger all your Spell Thieves procs with the pool. You can get really early Frostfang upgrade, and you can pretty much permanently have that thing on cooldown. You get so much gold out of Morgana from that. It's easier than pretty much any other champion to always have it procced, and actually can make a big difference. Yeah. Especially
like his true love. He finds it on Morgana, Malzahar.
There you go, man.
Sorry to interrupt you, though.
No, go right ahead, Riv. Always happy
my
to hear
turn
you
now.
talk.
It's my turn now.
Could be your turn whenever you want, Riv.
A little damage onto Ole to start off this bottom lane. Still taking some inner flames as well, but he does grab brush control. That's what makes it a bit more scary here. Okay, he walks out, but whatever. And get those dark bindings.
Pool. So pool does allow you to push. It is going to give you that shove advantage, which is kind of what they're hoping for. And as I said, you can proc those Spell Thieves, so there it is. You got double proc instantly, and it's quite a nice little pushing utility that you do have. They're going to get that early level 2, and TSM was able to contest that enough to get it right back.
Oh, catches Turtle with time hit. Hail of Arrows back. Biofrost steps up as well. AD carries trade. His supports go at it. Nicely done. Wild Turtle says, all right, getting a little crazy. We may do that again. Let's get some vision on the bot lane. Dardoch's going to take Scuttle on that side, but not before getting some vision.
And they were kind of, Pobelter's taking way too much damage here.
It looks like Dardoch as well saw this happening. He's going to force the flash. I'm sorry, Ghost. That's not flash at all. Out of Bjergsen as he heads towards the top side of the river. Safety Svenskeren there. And then Dardoch heads back to the Scuttle.
And Pobelter, he's the one who has to blow his flash, not respecting the level 3 there from Bjergsen. So it is a summoner trade, but still very much in the advantage of Bjergsen, because that Ghost is a much shorter cooldown. One combo also they have to watch out for in the bot lane is TSM side is Dark Binding into Trap. And they showed that off. That was that great trade onto Turtle. If you land that Dark Binding, you can easily layer up that trap. But Flame could be in trouble here. Svenskeren pathing the top side, and he is shoved up.
It actually looked good. I was like, Flame's doing really well. Maybe Svenskeren is just kind of allowing that damage to come in. Baits him. Those twisted advanced Qs can really chunk your health away.
Yeah.
Only about 2 or 3 to Haunter. And they're almost able to play off of that bait, but good warding in from Flame keeps himself quite safe here in the early game.
Exactly, and good presence of mind. The wave was already pushing back towards him, so even if you miss 1 or 2 CS, it will not freeze on you. You don't need to be all the way up there. You can be patient. He plays it smart, has it timed out, and thus avoids the gank.
Spending quite a bit of time down here for Dardoch. Lose too much. Haunter going in to get some deep wards on the top side.
I think Dardoch is kind of trying to hang around mid lane because he knows Pobelter is flashless, and he's kind of saying, okay, if I were you, Svenskeren, what would I do? Well, I'd probably gank the flashless mid lane or try to snowball Bjergsen, right? It's going to be a great option pretty much every single game. So he wants to be there for the counter gank and make sure that nothing like that can happen. There's the combo, there's the trap, layered nicely. Look at that damage, and that is great stuff from Ole and Cody-san.
Yep, they're feeling real nice in that lane. Hopefully they can keep it up. This only brings pressure down from Svenskeren, so knowing they can get themselves in trouble, they back up just a little bit.
Look at this, he's hitting every single binding.
That Morgana has been his pick. It seems like Ole continues to bring that out.
I'm really impressed because I really do feel like Karma should have the advantage, but TSM is just doing a poor job avoiding the bindings, and credit obviously to Ole as well. I mean, he is hitting these non-stop. If you don't hit those bindings on Morgana, your threat just goes so far down. Another one.
So, well, and thinking of that too, you know you have those second nature thoughts on a champion you've played from 1 to 30. You're already thinking, hey, maybe he's still under the turret. It looks like Cody-san's good. I'm going to go see if I can hit. That's always in his mind, it seems, with these champions. And if it's with more, we have a lot to see from Ole.
You definitely do. And one of the big things there is now the back timing is really messed up. They're offset. So Biofrost based, Turtle had to stay around. If he does not push this out, his opponents will come back with the VS Sword. They're going to be there to collect this, and he's going to be the one that loses CS on their turret. Because his opponents will get back so much faster, they'll shove it in, and now it's a 3-man roam from TSM looking for a Pobelter. See if I can get anything done. Doesn't look like a Pobelter playing very safe, knows he is at risk.
Biofrost scrying out the wards, placing more deep as well, and much more controlled game here from TSM in the early game.
Yeah. I like that move from Biofrost. There's no point in going straight back to bot lane because the backs were kind of messed up there, so he's not wasting his time. He hits the Scryer's Bloom, knows he's safe to ward, gets some deep wards, which will protect them later, and then synchronizes his timing back with Turtle in the bot lane. So this is really well thought out, really well timed out, and you know, it's the basics, but it's really strong basics from Biofrost.
Also a ping on that ward. I believe Cody's son just placed in that bot forward brush, possibly for Flame on an engage. So we may see a teleport coming down to the bot lane at some point soon.
Certainly could. Both these champions are big impact TP flankers, especially in the early game. But Dardoch has been spotted out, and we'll see what does Sven want to do with this. He knows Dardoch is bot side. The answer is very likely going to be invade for the blue. So they can try to deny this away from Pobelter. And this advantage is gained from Biofrost. The work that he did. Svenskeren is now sealing away the blue. So that just goes to show how much value can be placed on that. And it's something that's a small move, but look at that. Now his mid laner's denied the blue.
Pobelter not having the greatest start on this one. Still in an all-right position here. Questioning out mid, says, I wonder where this went. They're probably going to realize they're not going to have too many resources to grab on that left side of the map.
Yep, and now they want to try to take up this blue for Pobelter. It's already going to be gone. Still, Pobelter has leaned well. He is up in CS. You know, he has Lost Chapter, so he is going to be able to have enough mana to kind of go through this. If he'd gone for a different option, more aggressive option, or even MR, he may have been in more trouble there with just the lower amount of mana. Oh, Flame just W'd forward, and Svenskeren is up here, but looks like they don't
Gets
really
a push back, grabs a little bit of distance in the lane. He's staying just in the fog, so Flame feels the fight a little bit more. Says, yeah, let's keep it going. It is going to be Dardoch coming up. Dodges back into it. You don't see that too many times on a Sonic Wave.
He had no panic there from Flame at all. He knows he has Hunter low on mana, so he feels confident to just sidestep that, knowing even if Svenskeren gets in, he thinks he can get out. So not even a summoner blown. Really nice play there from Flame. And this is something he struggled with yesterday, actually, in their previous game. He was getting caught out and killed early game quite often. So good little adaptations, and now they're going to look for the dive. Here they go.
Lane that tanks first. He is pretty tanky. Twisted advance. He actually is just going to walk it out. Beautifully done.
And this is what I was talking about. Haunter missed the heroic presence. He mistimed it. Dardoch was flying in there. If you hit that, you can interrupt that stun. Not sure if it would have made the difference, but certainly should have tried. One more turret shot could have taken down Flame. Maybe makes that a 1-for-1 trade. Hard to say.
To recap a word there as well as patience. Not being scared of the play. Flame throughout that whole thing. Very, very patient and just walking, get the kill. Haunter finds kind of the same result as the start of last game. Getting hit up under his turret. He was still able to come up big. We'll see how they do it once again.
And here it is. And
collected.
I'm assuming he still does have it. Look at this. He's just late. Now he puts it up. That's just pretty late, and that would have been able to break up that combo.
Was it because of the arcane smash?
No, I mean, he was out of the CC. It had expired, so you know, probably Flame wouldn't have died. Maybe you get a flash, maybe you get something. But you should. It's always a play you should be going for, right? And that's kind of showing your mechanics, showing how quick you are with that. Because that, especially in later stages of the game, if that Kha'Zix is jumping onto Wild Turtle or something, you must hit that.
Yeah.
You cannot allow that guy to come through.
No, that is true. You're hitting it now if you're going to be hitting it later. Yep. Tied up in the mid lane. Not as much pressure here for the mid laners after Pobelter was able to get his first escape. As we said, Dardoch was giving him a bit of safety and presence. Flame continues to keep this top lane pushed, so whether or not he calls or continues to call Svenskeren up for the respect, Flame's going to have a lot of room to work with come teleport time.
A lot of credit to TSM's warding, though. They have tracked Dardoch well, especially on the bot side. You can see bot side littered with wards. They got one by the dragon, they got one above the red pit. So Bjergsen knows he's here, and Svenskeren has arrived. Do they go for it?
The ultimate did practically nothing. Is forced to flash out. Nice scout of the week. Oh, the Realm Warp. Oh, what a zoning Realm Warp as well. He's not going to take it. They find Pobelter with the mind games. Biofrost on the roam here. They're going to have to leave Dardoch out to dry, or I'm sorry, Biofrost out to dry, but he gets himself out safely with a flash.
Gets out, and that was a beautiful ultimate from Bjergsen. As you call it, they zone him out. They cut off that path. He's too worried about going that way, steps right back into it. Bjergsen commits with the flash, and Pobelter knows it's all over, saves the cleanse, but he goes down.
Route of Ages finished up for Bjergsen now after this little fight. And I was just saying, they didn't put too much more pressure back to mid, but both junglers are ready.
Yeah, exactly. And TSM was the ones who knew they wanted to make this play. They saw Dardoch on the wards, they commit to it. There's the Realm Warp. They walk right out of it. Pobelter caught between a rock and a hard place, not going to waste the cleanse, does go down. And then Dardoch, this is frustrating. He commits a flash for the support. Look at his health, he barely survives and is able to get out, and that is definitely annoying for Dardoch. We would love to at least grab that kill back.
Absolutely. Now towards the turret again for Flame. Let's see if we find Dardoch coming back up here to take down Haunzer. Has to have a little bit of HP now for himself. Not too many resistance stats.
Yeah. Haunzer, you know, he is kind of getting bullied a bit. He is losing in pressure a bit, but it's okay for Poppy to fall a little bit behind in CS. You know, it's not that big of a deal as long as it doesn't get out of hand. We'll see how the trap does lair. Look at this, they're committing all in.
Shackling his soul down. Biofrost will fall after the flash was played in mid. And there might be a Dark Binding coming out here. The kills it! Oh, he's gonna stay alive too! Ole and Cody's son come up big.
That was massive, and they are playing this kind of oddball bot lane to perfection. I mean, Morgana's not something you see a lot anymore, and Ole is showing he is so good at it, just nailing binding after binding. He flashes in, commits the ultimate. Just great play from the Immortals bot lane, and not what I was expecting coming to this game. TSM focused so much on disadvantaging their bot lane, and they're still losing.
See this one more time. He even shielded out of that.
Yep, look at that. Binding into trap, into soul shackles, everything layered up. Then Ole has the confidence. He says, even if I die, I will land this binding. Nails it. Heal comes in from Cody's son. Barely able to stay alive. They get the 2-for-2 outplay.
Well, it may not be a revisit down there for Svenskeren too soon, or maybe even sooner to get those kills back for Wild Turtle and Biofrost. We actually haven't seen any Chain of Corruption initiations here.
No. And I mean, Turtle had his flash there. Like, he didn't even use that flash, so I guess he thought he could outplay it or would have been able to kill off Ole, but he does go down despite it, giving up that second kill.
So Scuttle grabbed him bottom. Everything that he can get, he knows he's falling a little bit behind. It's not too bad. Little fight up in the top lane as mid lane gets their hands dirty as well. This is onto Pobelter. Pobelter just came back onto the rift. He gets sent back, and it looks like Dardoch he does not come up short on another kill. That was close. Able to grab Bjergsen down. And this fight's still going. This started when the other one did.
The fight that never ends.
The fight that never, ever ends. There's a song about that once.
Unless the jungler comes up and kills you. That's when it ends.
Oh.
Flame
tries to put down the verdict.
Early flash.
Gonna dodge. Ooh. Actually, that was a really nice hit throw by Svenskeren. He actually threw the Sonic Wave up for the dodge.
Yep. Was well placed, and you know, Flame, he didn't flash early. He waited to reactively do it. That's the optimal play. If you flash early and then he hits you, it feels bad. But either way, Immortals, did they kill Biofrost and the bot lane at the same time? Biofrost died again, so they get the turret, and this Immortals bot lane is huge. And we're gonna see it here once more. No flash onto Biofrost, lands the soul shackles into the trap. Perfect execution. These guys are on fire in the bot lane.
It's like a different version of Tom Kench. Jinx. Just lock him up, trap him up, take him down.
And when you get that far ahead, you can just go so aggressive. I mean, Ole is 2 levels up on Biofrost now.
I guess I should say it the other way around. Jinx and Kench is a version of this. 5-2, 15 minutes in, and we'll see if Cody's son can keep carrying, helping to carry from this position. Dardoch as well, 2-0. Keeping on par with the game. Pobelter has just not had fun, though. They are making sure, even with pressure to the bot lane coming out of picks and bans, they are making sure Pobelter has a bad day.
Oh, TP to the bot side. They're going to look to catch out Turtle here. Yeah, here's Maokai, and I think it's all over, Turtle. It was fun while it lasted, buddy.
There's one hit. Arcane smash back. Jump. Oh, no. Okay. Still had to force the flash there.
Yeah.
Turtle tries to slalom through the minions and trip them up.
I mean, Biofrost was kind of close, but I still think you just accept your death there. You know, blowing the 2 summoners there on Turtle almost guarantees that now there can be a repeat all-in. Even if the junglers don't visit, if he tries to match up against Olay, he's shown he has the confidence to flash forward, go for these ultimates, and there's going to be no way for Wild Turtle to get out of that. So may spell death once more for Turtle later on.
Turnaround from this bot lane. Now towards the top to take down the next turret. Around the horn they go. Mid lane will be the next pressure, which is actually already getting hit up. So TSM has quite a bit to think about here on the plate. It looks like it's just going to be Bjergsen to stop the top side. He should be able to do so, it looks like. Good job by Biofrost as well.
Fun thing to point out, just talking again about Morgana and the easy interaction with Frostfang is Olay has almost earned 800 gold from Frostfang stacks already in this game, whereas Biofrost, by comparison on the Karma, it's much harder to proc it, has only about 400. So you can see how much extra gold you can get from that, and look at the massive gold lead that he has, but Dardoch going in on Bjergsen. Oh, nice black shield.
Great thinking by Olay. They're going to be able to get out of this one.
That's another turret.
Yep. Great pressure. Knowing he had the support of Olay behind him, they go in simply and easily to take down the turret. Now down finally towards this mid lane. A bit of a push here by Biofrost and Turtle. They may have to exit straight down.
Yeah, this has been such a nice series to watch, Svenskeren and Dardoch. Both these guys really are showcasing their skills and making their arguments for being the best jungler in the league. These guys have just been massive. The NA talent in jungler, like the jungle pool is so strong this year. We've seen Acadian really show up. Even though his team hasn't been winning, he's been looking great. Contracts, who's going to be playing later today. He was insane in his first series. We have Dardoch, we have Svenskeren, we have Rainover. There's so many good junglers here this year, and it's really been impressing me to see all these guys living up to the hype early on.
Definitely excited to see it, especially, you mentioned the names, but the new blood in general. To see the type of play they bring, the aggression, the fact that they're backing up, not trash talk, but the talk that I think I'm the best, and I'm going to show you that. I'm not going to temper my play.
Confidence.
That's the confidence. It's great to see coming into a new season.
Yeah, especially because, you know, Acadian had talked about it in his interviews. The ability to have the confidence to play aggressive, even your first times on stage, right? And, and that's what these guys are showing. Cody's son, you know, he's new, and he is smashing Wild Turtle right now, a seasoned vet. You know, Olay, not a new player, but new to the North American scene, and they're working so well together. They're not backing down, even when getting targeted in picks and bans. That definitely is promising for the Immortals squad, who most people had talked about. Yeah, well, they have Flame, they have Dardoch, they have Pobelter, but their bot lane is probably a weakness. They're showing, hey, maybe we're not. Maybe they can be a strength. They can carry.
Right. Also have to think about TSM's bot lane as well. Wild Turtle, Biofrost trying to get their synergy together. Has seemed to affect the team quite a bit in the past games. 6-2 here as we come up to the mid turret, and those are the guys that are in mid, Wild Turtle, Biofrost, but they are forced to do nothing as too much power from Immortals is brought down on that mid turret, and that means all three are down, really without theirs being hit.
Yeah, they walk around the map, they clean up all that outer gold that they can grab, and Turtle still didn't have his flash from that bot lane play, so you cannot pose aggressively by that turret, or you could get flashed on. You can get taken out very easily, and because of all these turrets going down, they're using this Caitlyn so well. They're using her to siege, to move around the map, to pick up all this gold, and their gold lead is ballooning. They are really doing a great job with it. Does he go for it? Oh! Nice try. Oh, wow.
Also, fight is still aggressive. Kicks back Dardoch. They say, Riptide will take it off. The hit back, that was the verdict on Flame. He's going to be able to help back into the fight, and now they scatter. Dardoch does not get that.
One for one trade, but nice mechanical play there from Svenskeren. He actually baited out the Black Shield on Olay, then kick flashes Dardoch back in, knowing it was already down. So clever play. Does result in the 1 for 1, so it's not the end of the world really for Immortals, but showing off some of those Lisa mechanics.
Welker says, thank you very much. Looks like that one, he was denied a few this game. We'll see it once more.
Yeah, so here it is again. He knows his team is moving over, and he wants to go for a play here. There it is. Black Shield used kick flash onto Dardoch, who was revealed with that E, I do believe. So Dardoch goes down. Olay flashes out. Is the trade not too bad, but still, flashy play.
Cody-san Actually, they have enough vision. I was going to say roaming around is a little dangerous right now with the amount of kills he has. Somebody would love that gold. But he has the safety on every side. Immortals here somehow catapulting themselves quickly, obviously with the gold at the turrets. But even after a very clean early game by TSM, hitting up a few lanes, making sure things worked in their favor, and then Dardoch said, all right, we'll kill Haunter again, and we'll start it all over like game 1.
Yeah, I mean, Sven has put so much effort to getting Bjergsen ahead this game.
Yeah.
And while they have killed Pobelter twice, Bjergsen didn't get either of the kills. The CS is very comparable. Admirable job by Pobelter keeping it close, especially with all the focus that he has gotten. So really, they put a lot of eggs in the Bjergsen basket and it's not paid off just yet. But as we know from last game, doesn't mean it won't pay off later.
Oh, trying for a double hit up. They go for Wild Turtle. He is going to pop in this fight. Svenskeren safeguards back to Bjergsen as he went for the back line as well. Pobelter lost his life. And now they will start to back. Haunter gets himself in this one with a teleport, and it looks like the Realm Warp will be held. That would have been a little crazy.
I call worth for TSM. I mean, they kill off Pobelter there. They lose Wild Turtle, but Turtle is already behind, and both summoners were blown from Pobelter to actually get that kill. So Svenskeren, once again, nice reaction there. He sees Pobelter come forward. He makes the turn. Pobelter commits, but there is that Rune Prison. Svenskeren goes in, executes him as his AD dies, but good little combo from the mid lane jungle with TSM to be able to grab one back.
It's going to turn into the fights back and forth once again. Teams are very temperate as they go in. You have the one guy that takes a kill and dies.
Yeah, both junglers moving up here as well as support, so this could be a fight here, Riv.
The domino effect is coming in. Everyone starting to converge. Push back.
Nice
Flame,
pop,
nicely done out of the fight as well.
Flame still wants it. They're going to keep chasing. He does have the CC.
Haunter was saying, let me in front, I want out. Puts down the presence. No more jump in from Flame or Dardoch just yet. Hail of Arrows slows them down on the re-entry. And they are able to waltz this one out. A little bit of a dance there down the lane. Bot lane is Bjergsen Pobelter, and that is not something Pobelter wants.
Yeah, he better run for the hills. I think he's a goner.
Yeah, he's a goner. There's the Ghost on. Not going to be able to do much. He can hit these Qs. Oh my god, Pobelter coming up very quick. Almost got another sphere.
If he had that Q, might have been a kill there, but Immortals now making the risky call. Dardoch very low. Will they rush the Baron or will they back off? They're committing, it looks like, Riv.
This could be catastrophic. There's the Chain of Corruption. It goes down. Sonic Wave is on the Baron. Here gonna be Svenskeren. Safeguards out. And that's all they want. They say we don't even need the fight.
Huge risks taken by Immortals. They want to put the nail in the coffin, shut this game out. Instead, Sven comes up huge again for TSM.
I can see what Dardoch was thinking. There was like 3 or 4 Barons he got last game over Sven. He's like, I can do this, but not this time. It's not every time, and this one mattered a lot.
And Kha'Zix has the isolated Q plus Smite combo, so
that's true.
It's pretty good combo, but here it is. Bjergsen setting up that pick in the bot lane. He's going to go for it, and a couple whiffs on the Q. Nice dodge there by Pobelter. He's dodging back and forth, dodges again. If he hits this Q, it's really close. Would have probably got a trade kill, but then they decide to go for the rush, and Flame is not here to actually tank the Baron. Svenskeren gets here in time. They could have just backed off, but they make the call to commit for it. They have the confidence in Dardoch. And then Sven, he lands the Q. This is when you stop damaging. You don't keep going when Lee Sin has the Q on the Baron because he gets the execute. Instead, they give Sven the advantage in that smite. That really was a bad play from Immortals. If you wait and the Q expires, Kha'Zix has the advantage with the Q smite. He probably would have won had they waited.
That's right. Dardoch exclaiming his love for chocolate. 8 and 5 on the board, 25 minutes in. TSM now starts to beat back on Immortals here. Bot lane's going to be Svenskeren and Bjergsen. I don't know if the wards are here to let them know that this is going to happen, but Pobelter may not have a fun time.
I mean, they get the turret gold, they get the Baron gold. This was a massive lead for Immortals, and now it's pretty much all gone. They are up a little bit, but the amount of gold lead now is pretty much irrelevant. It's not that big of a deal.
Cody's banking. 2.4, 2.2 over Wild Turtle right now.
But then look at the mid lane, right? It really starts to even out. And that's the problem, is they kind of threw their advantage there. They really wanted it to be the death blow where they put themselves so far ahead, start cracking the second tier turrets. Instead, TSM is going to walk around. They're going to take up probably at least a second one here from Haunter, and we'll see if Immortals can answer back because the mid lane turret's about to die. They don't want to give up all 3 of these turrets.
Good shield, good
TP in from Flame.
They still wanted. The
Nice
teammate
binding.
following. You can see Pobelter coming around as well. Any escapes or entries into the fight are going to be his. And the team is able to lock down that first one. Nicely done.
Yeah, good
A lot of
execution there from Immortals because the top lane was being pushed by Haunter. They needed to do something about it. They didn't have anyone to answer, so instead they make the play mid lane, and now Haunter, pretty slow to base. Can Immortals get damage on this inhibitor turret while Bjergsen is dead? We'll have to see if they want to commit to it. They have some minions, and they have Caitlyn to siege.
Smite it out. Karma good wave clear. They can only get not even really a hit on the turret unless it was an auto attack maybe from Ole. Bots finally, or I should say, bottom of top is pushing out for them now on the side of Immortals. And they're all just going to pan back out, grab up the resources. Got an Infernal Drake coming up in 1 minute here. Immortals actually controlling dragons throughout this series very well.
They really have been, and this next one will be a big one. Double Infernal is a big advantage to give over to Immortals with a lot of guys building damage here. TSM will clear up that middle lane turret, but if TSM can equalize the 1-for-1, then there's no advantage. Giving up that 2-for-0 is really big, and TSM will look to set up and try to fight for this. They also do have TP advantage now because Flame committed his to the earlier play, so it may have been the call from TSM. Hold TP for the dragon fight.
Trying to clear out wards with the Bloom. Get Dardoch off a few of them, so TSM actually has some good deep wards here as this dragon is about to come up. Teleport up for Haunter, obviously. Bjergsen only has a small run from the bot lane to come up on Rise.
A really big thing to track in this next fight is how successful the players with the gold are. How does Bjergsen and Svenskeren do? And how do Cody Sun and Dardoch do? That's where most of the gold is focused on these teams. So those players need to be successful for them to win these fights. And the TP is coming in. They're just trying to rush it down. They should be Immortals, but is it TSM's fight?
Bjergsen actually had a link to the back line there, but the ward gets killed.
Here they come. Dardoch knocked out. That's one of the big gold leaders.
He's coming back in from the side. Cody Sun staying very nicely on the back. Ole just next to him. And Flame knows he is the meat wall. Up in front, Pobelter looking to scatter the weak. Nobody's really behind the ball though, so he sends it to the left. A new one on Haunter and Bjergsen, and really nobody can find the initiation here.
Yeah, that's very well handled by Immortals. They already got the big prize. They got the Infernal Dragon. Walk out clean, and I could see a little bit of frustration there from TSM as they definitely wanted to make that play, and they weren't able to make it happen, even though they knew it was coming.
Nice shot. That's all there is to it. Cody Sun starting to pick up a bit now.
Yeah, the 3 items.
Yep, 402.
Those 3 items is really what you talk about as Caitlyn's kind of huge breaking point, where you have 80% crit, you have the IE to kind of benefit that as well, and you become a powerhouse at this point. So Cody Sun, if he is free firing, he's going to be massive, but he will need to pick up more items to start dealing with the tanks, get that armor pen. Either way though, the amount of team fight damage he should put out compared to Turtle is going to be a big gap. Cody Sun should be much more powerful in the team fights, assuming he can stay alive.
TSM now kind of being forced to use a few scrying orbs just to see their own jungle. Really not getting any advantages out of it.
Yeah, it is an interesting trend we've seen. It's something that I've been tracking a little bit, is kind of the move over to more and more of these blue trinkets. More and more teams are picking up 2 and 3 instead of just staying on the kind of classic 1, because they want to always be able to have one up on demand to check these objectives, to check the bushes, to make sure they're not getting caught out at the wrong time, because it can be so punishing. But what you're sacrificing, obviously, is the persistent vision that those yellow wards can give you.
Side lane swaps, trade out. What kind of fight? Now again, as we come to it 30 minutes in, are we looking for, say, IMT side? Who can they look for? You're going to have Poppy, Svenskeren both going to the back line. How do you prevent this?
Well, I think a lot of it is going to be to do, with Flame, with Ole, being able to CC those guys, keep them back, and TP coming in from Flame. They're looking for the flank on a Turtle.
Oh, hell of arrows. Slows him down right away.
Flame needs to back off. He's just by himself now.
He doesn't know the team is getting hit. 4v1 for Flame. Dardoch starting to fire on the right side of the screen. Flame about to get snuffed out here. A little bit of damage tried to be put on the Baron there by Pobelter if Flame was able to get over and hit up TSM, but none of that happens.
That was just awful from Flame. I mean, yeah, I understand what he's trying to do, but when he flashed and he didn't get him, he needed to walk back to his team. No one was chasing. That really talks to a lack of communication there because Haunter was already caught. He just walks back to his team. They kill off Haunter for free. Then you have your Maokai. He can be taking Baron. You can be threatening those kind of things and looking for a 5v4 fight. Instead, it's an even trade, and your top laner blew both the summoners.
It seems like the collapse is going to definitely work, as you said, over towards Dardoch, but I'm sorry, the other side. 10-6 now, 31 minutes in. It's only a 2,000 gold lead for Immortals, so really you can say no lead almost. They try to push down once again towards TSM's side, but it's actually being stopped much sooner here.
Yeah, the gold lead,
understanding that playbook.
not a big deal at all. Where they do have their lead, once again, Dragons, right? And double Infernal. Those are a lot more combat power than the Cloud Drakes that they had last time around. And it's also going to mean, as we get to these later stages, when the Elder Dragon spawns, you can multiply the attack damage and the AP bonus from the Infernal Dragons, and you can get that massive true damage burn. So it can be something they can look for once more. But it's a very even game, all things considered, and it's a lot closer at this time than the last one was, where Immortals, had been kind of cracking the base and stuff.
Trying to figure out the ins, the outs. Like, where's the, Svenskeren? There's still the option for the plays. We were talking about at Worlds as late game came up. Where's the kick? But then we've seen that kick shielded already a few times by the speed of Ole. So you're seeing why things are tempered. There's almost no engage to be had unless you find Flame on the other side of the map. So what happens to the rest of the crew?
So Immortals is going to move straight to Baron. They have to commit to this, but Svenskeren could look to steal again. He's still there. TP now coming in from Haunter. Flame is dead.
On the Baron.
Back off.
Haunter's going to be in. Yeah, Flame's down on this one. Baron's just going to be left out. They want the full fight. A great
They kept it low. TSM could go right back in. Bjergsen's running up, and TSM could look to now just force this Baron, but did you let it reset?
Haunter does not want cupcakes. Good line of traps, really negating TSM to get in there and take out any members.
Still Bjergsen pushing in the mid lane. TSM can move right back to that Baron. Haunter clearing out all the traps, and this is very risky now for Immortals.
Right, I was gonna say that was gonna give Bjergsen backline entry if Cody-san was coming up so slow, but they joined the team. Dardoch is just on the outside. He wants revenge on this smite. He gets pushed back. Spell immune for Dardoch. He goes in. The smite is not had by him. It's Svenskeren's once again. And they're looking at Cody-san up against the wall. The rest of the team will follow through. The Sonic Waves hit. The verdict is he flashes over the wall. And a few more hits is what it takes to get him to go down. Ole's going to make it out alive. But again, TSM come up with the Baron in a much better position on the map.
Exactly, and again, it's Flame getting caught, giving up his life. Pobelter may get chased down here too now. Is pretty low. We'll get away for now, but now the gold swings back to TSM, and they are really just playing better in the later stages of this game. They kill off Flame in the bot lane, they TP up Poppy to the top lane, they keep it low, and then they turn for the fight. Pobelter's so low, he really can't participate. Dardoch goes for the smite, but it's Svenskeren who wins once again. Dardoch's down, it's full retreat for Cody-san. Needed to probably flash out of there early, and instead, that's the Fed member getting caught out, getting taken down. Immortals gives up multiple kills, gives up the Baron, gives up the Dragon. What else are they going to lose?
They're actually going to start losing a lot of the resources in the jungle. It looks a lot like what Immortals was doing to TSM last game, putting all their vision forward and denying it. TSM was having a lot of trouble even getting vision of Fog of War on the map. There's that Cloud Drake over for TSM. Another turret as well as, like we said, better control for when they got this Baron to the last one. The minion waves were ready to be pushed. They were able to work off this much faster. Now to the mid lane. It's still open. Ults are up on the side of Immortals, but a lot of those summoners are down.
Yeah, they certainly are. And, Cody-san had an amazing laning phase along with Ole, but they have not really been able to use that Fed Caitlyn ever since taking down the outer turrets. That was kind of really what they had gotten done with it. In these last quite a few minutes, Flame died up in topside, then he got caught in bot side, died there, and they have not been able to utilize the Fed Caitlyn. You kind of need that front line protecting you, giving you the ability to free fire and really pump out that damage.
3 down mid, 1 towards top is Bjergsen. And the traps aren't going to stop these guys too much. Hanser will step up to the turret here. It's calling over Dardoch as well. Not much out of position, I would say, but definitely costing them top turret. They're going to focus on this mid one.
Yeah, it's so hard to answer this Baron push as the minions are so tough to take down. And they're looking for an execute on Svenskeren.
It's exactly what you need. Somebody to think they're safe when they are really in the danger zone. Dardoch figured that out. He gets himself a kill onto Svenskeren. I'm sorry, that was Cody's son's follow-up.
A really big thing here, though, for TSM is, yeah, you lost your jungler, but there's no objectives. There's nothing for Immortals to really take. There's no Baron up. There's no Elder up. So really, all it's going to give them is maybe a little bit of vision, push out the minion waves, delay the Baron a bit, but still, it's not that bad for TSM. It's a really big pick for Immortals to at least stem the bleeding, but unfortunately, they can't get more from it.
Bjergsen very close to get that 100 CS over on Pobelter, 383 to 303. And we can see he can almost help drop Flame in an instant with Hanser. So they're looking pretty good on being able to drop the tank. Flame was a really big reason actually TSM couldn't do anything but hide in their base last game. This time he's been measured a little bit more.
Yeah, certainly has not been having the best game, but you know, a lot of it really has just kind of come down to the junglers. It has been a junglers series as Svenskeren and Dardoch have been going blow for blow in the early game, both seeming to make all their ganks work, and it coming down to these smite fights in the later stages. And really the difference in this game has been Svenskeren nailing the smite on both Barons. That's really the separation between the teams.
Coming down to the bans as well, it was Immortals saying 80 carry is what we want to ban out. We're afraid of Wild Turtle, Biofrost, and what they can produce with an Ashe Zyra. But we'll give Svenskeren the Lee Sin. That seems all right. So maybe there was a bit of, not miscommunication there, but the want to be able to say, hey, give him Lee, and then whatever else TSM got just made such an A-team. Really is having an impact on this game, as you said.
And that is why I think that the new pick and ban system is so exciting, because it's so multifaceted. It's not just one solved way to do the pick and bans.
Yeah.
You ban based on champion pool, based on player, based on playstyle. There's so many things from game to game that can change it up, and that's why I think we're seeing more picks, and hopefully we'll continue to see more picks, and hopefully it doesn't get solved and then, you know, that kind of thing. But it's been very exciting. Pobelter down here in the bot lane. He's looking to bait in Bjergsen with Dardoch behind him, but Svenskeren is there too.
It's almost at this point, you don't think about it when you're the player baiting. You're like, I'm going to bait this guy. You should probably think to yourself, he's baiting me. That's usually the way you go down and then say, oh yeah.
The baiter becomes the baitee.
Thinking the same thing. So the Dragons still helping out Immortals a little bit here as they defend their base. It's causing TSM to think twice here and there. And we still got a minute 40 on both our objectives as the resources are cleaned up in the jungle. Flame always likes long walks in the top lane. He pushes back Hanser. They're just taking a breathing moment right now.
Yeah,
Maybe
the knock guy really has not been more effective than the Poppy this time around. So you can see both teams are looking to kind of get picks on the side lanes, right? Bjergsen now moving up to the top side. So if Flame stays too far up there, they can look to engage with the Realm Warp. They can look for those sorts of picks. And Dardoch has just been kind of shadowing his side laners. As Flame moves up, he moves over there. As Pobelter moves up, he moves over there. He wants to be in position to really help out wherever it's needed and to look for one of those kills that could have, hopefully for them, you know, kind of spur them into some action and get something done.
Say Ollie looked like he was, I'm sorry, Cody's son looked like he was going bot lane. He's like, wait, okay, Flame's already there. Let's stay mid. Great trap lines coming in from Cody's son, really stopping any quick initiations. Maybe Svenskeren trying to get him the Sonic Wave and make the plays we've been talking about that kind of wowed those at Worlds. But right now, Immortals in the position TSM was in game one. Backs against the wall. Looking to really make an impact here. One big fight, I think, is what it's going to come down to again to really open this one up.
It certainly could. And one thing to track is Bjergsen is at his strongest point now. He has completed all his items. He's a full item up on Pobelter, but the longer the game goes, the more time it is for Pobelter to kind of close that gap, right? There's no more room for Bjergsen to grow, and you know he will be tailing off in power compared to Pobelter from this point forward. So the question becomes, when do they make their move? When do they try to go for the fight? Are they patient enough to just kind of wait it out? And Hanser now may be caught here, but TSM has position on the Baron. What's the trade going to be?
Baron gets hit. It's
This
actually
is not
turret
worth it
as
if they get
well.
the Baron.
They're pulling Cinder down. They're not going to be able to do
They're
much.
going to go for Elder.
Because they're going to have to guard that top inhibitor. So yeah, they get Baron, Elder goes over. Immortals, Very nicely done. A trade? We'll see how it works. Immortals does have those 3 Drakes, so it's going to be very nice for them.
So the big thing here now, this is a conscious choice. Immortals knows they're giving up Baron, but they traded for the kill on the Elder. Now Immortals needs to capitalize on this. They have this shorter buff, this extreme power that they're getting from this buff, where it's amplifying their AD AP even more. They're getting the true damage burn. They need to fight right now with this up, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. Hanser is down. They have this window of power, 2.5 minutes. They want to capitalize. TSM needs to hold on and utilize their Baron after it has expired.
And that's what makes it so intense, because TSM knows that as well. They realize they may be engaged on. Immortals is going to try to do everything they can right now. Even with that knowledge, you're forced to give it up. You're forced to say it's still too dangerous.
Yep. It's the right call. You don't want to fight that into this buff with Hanser dead. So now Immortals, what else can they get done? If that's all they lose and TSM can move up, maybe get something back with the Baron buff, could be okay. But Immortals is looking to set up maybe a trap or go somewhere else, because right now they're kind of skulking around in the jungle. Dardoch has been spotted out on this ward, and they now know.
Oopsies. They make it out. It actually looked like for a second Bjergsen and the team were setting up for like a realm warp out of the base to hit that Raptor brush or something. I was waiting for it.
Would have been exciting.
Yeah, it would have been real exciting. All of Immortals stayed. Flame again. Leashing up that top lane. Get it reset, get it pushed up to that turret. But he's got the opposition of Hanser on the other side. Those teleports are up, so we don't really have to worry about those 2 guys getting to the fight. We'll watch Ole walk around, support his teammates. Great shield, great bindings from him this game. He's really just been in the right spot at the right time for whoever needs assistance.
Yeah, not much to nitpick from Ole's play this game. He has just been great. Now, you know, Immortals, I don't really expect TSM to give them a fight with the tail end of this Elder. The Baron will outlast it, and that is where TSM will try to get their advantages back. Try to siege up, maybe be able to get something done here. But Immortals, it's a pretty smart move, and it's a bold shot call, so I am impressed by that.
It's kind of the consideration of if they do get in a bad fight, what can they give up for the next? I'm sure that's what they're thinking in this fight, since it's always been a 1-for-1 or 1 for something between these teams. Across the map, a lot of pressure. I'll say a lot. A few people walking up towards that top side of the map right now. They're going to go ahead and set up some bushwhacks once again. Map is clear.
Oh, they want this TP coming from behind. Remember, there's no turret.
Who's Flame got? He goes actually for Hanser, so Hanser can't get to the back line. Bjergsen hitting up Flame. We know the damage is enough to take him down. The team can't follow him in through the choke point. And he's going to go down after GA2.
Yeah, Cody-san and Pobelter got ejected from the fight by Hanser. That was just so well done by Hanser. Wins that fight, and Flame too far up by himself again as his backline gets ejected and Immortals has no damage left. And just such a nice play there by Hanser. I'm not sure if it was even caught on the screen. That was really what won the fight. So.
Flame tried to go for him too, instantly. Like, I gotta stop Hanser from being a menace. It's too late. The push down here from TSM. We're gonna keep it on the mid turret to see if they can keep going. Karma Shield mantra'd up for the rest of the team as they get a little bit of safety here for a few hits on the turret. Now onto the inhibitor turrets. 26 seconds still for Flame. The bot lane building up for them. Top is pushing out for Immortals.
Then Scarin is taking turret damage.
And it looks like TSM actually won't be able to finalize this one just yet. They back off to keep themselves safe.
Yeah, they will have to back off. Still, the inhibitor advantage goes the way of Immortals. Elder will be on the table, and you know, it's still quite a ways off. And here's that fight once more. And there's the Poppycopter knocking out the backline. Ole with the black shield on himself. Ooh, I don't know about that one. And Dardoch cannot get caught here. He needs to get out.
Oh, hit the ult. Can he hit it again? No street out.
Bjergsen, he almost took him out there, but Bjergsen pops the Zonius, and Dardoch going for the solo play, trying to carry the game. Ends up giving up his life there, and a really long death timer, and that is big. Very risky play. He was up by himself.
Also using that bit of gold. He had about 700 going back there. Elixir of Wrath for him. Wants that extra damage. Bjergsen might have fallen. So now we're actually putting a little bit of money into elixirs here, knowing that items aren't going to be flowing into his pocket at this point in the game. He does need a little something extra.
Yeah. those elixirs, always smart to buy. You know, you do see some players, Bjergsen, one of the big ones who would always do this, buying elixirs early in the game because they are very gold efficient for that time window. So if you think, hey, we're about to have a big mid-game dragon fight, you can go for it.
Oh, they realm in Haunter to show Bjergsen, trying to fake him out. It doesn't pull too many forward. Haunter very low, comes back up from his GA. He's gonna go down. Svenskeren just as close to going down now. And remember, that's Dardoch coming back up into this fight. Flame in the front, big damage on Dardoch. Hits from Wild Turtle are true, and they stay on Flame. They're able to take him down. And Dardoch just cannot make it in time as he just comes out of the base.
It felt like Cody-san probably could have stepped up there, been a bit more aggressive, but he was so worried about Bjergsen on the side. He didn't get involved in the fight, and a botched initiation from TSM does not go nearly as bad as I would have thought it was going to there. It looked like Bauerfrost and the rest of the team might have got chased down.
Well, in the beginning, everybody had just red blinking health bars, and the GAs gave focus to IMT. They had to focus a bit.
Still, here is Immortals. They're looking for members out. And goes Sven. Kicks Dardoch out. Yeah. Good jump there from Dardoch, very quick.
14 seconds on Haunter. They're able to hold it, and that minion wave pushing on the bot side. Winions for TSM.
Yeah, and Haunter's going to be up before Flame, so Immortals needs to back off. Haunter has the TP. If they stay around, they're going to get flanked, so they have to base. They have to clear this up, and this game is turning into a lot like last game, where it's going to be one fight that really decides it.
Pobelter sitting on a bunch of gold. 2,000 right now, trying to finish the final item. Fortunate when you're sitting on that much money and everything else is full in the inventory.
And there he goes. He buys up that Zonia, so he will have that final item now, and he has finally caught up to where Bjergsen is in that item progression. And this is going to be a very frightening Syndra. Even though he's 0-4 and 4, he's 6 items. It doesn't matter. If he catches the right person with his combo, they will die.
So far, within the few games we've seen, Immortals has somewhat of a clean kind of 5 to 15 that mid game. Early game this time was TSM for the first few levels. And then they've just been trading back and forth. These two teams, 20 minutes plus, just continue to take punch for punch and still stand straight up and take another one. Here now, Immortals turn down mid lane. As we just saw, they lost that inhibitor turret. Bjergsen is on that right now, so they may have to pay respects to it, but they're down mid for their inhibitor.
And Flame, very confident in the front line, but he has been a bit too confident at times in this game, getting ahead of himself, and we'll see if he can hold up in the front line now. Looks like TSM wants to go on Flame.
Vengeful Maelstrom is down. Black Shield as well. He has actually taken a whole heap of damage absorbed into himself, and now they're going to go ahead and get the inhibitor. Bjergsen, as we said, has come back for the fight, and they walk out with that one. One and done.
And it was a nice ejection there from Haunter on Pobelter. Made Immortals back up, regroup again for a bit, but they were able to stay alive and finish off that inhibitor. Oh, and now Haunter may be caught.
The shield as well. Lurk's Karma is close. TSM moving up wards in the mid lane anyways. IMT knows they have to reposition here so they don't get routed forward their inhibitor, and it doesn't look like TSM is going to race them on this.
Now, we have to track Flame here, because Flame was trying to base. He did get stopped right now as TSM moves towards that Baron, but you know, he can look for these TP flanks, and he can look for the TPs because TSM has the median advantage right now. They're starting up the Baron right away. Will they commit?
If they can
This
get
is a risky position.
Get it safe.
Nice binding on a Biofrost.
Bot lane pushing in huge. If this fight's won by TSM, that's going to seal the deal. And Immortals feels the pressure. Flame goes very low, very quick with low mana, and he cannot participate in this fight safely.
Yeah, Flame needs to get back and clean up those minion waves, but TSM is trying to keep him here by constantly starting up the Baron, so they're trying to delay it as much as they can. There's no inhibitor turret to cover that top lane inhibitor, and TSM, they're just trying to rush straight forward. They're going to try to take the top lane inhibitor.
They're saying, look at the waves we have to work with. Don't waste that time. Oh,
Back
wait.
to Baron.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
And Flame didn't even get to finish clearing out the minion waves, so that turret will survive, but the wave is still going to be there. And now he's TPing. He's way ahead of his team. I don't think he should. This is risky.
The indecisive call. He gets kicked out. Can't get himself back in. It's still stolen, but it took them a long time. IMT knew TSM had gone back and forth. The whole run gave him time to set up. Isn't enough time to win a fight. Flame goes down. A huge hit by Pobelter. And all of the TSM members are scattered for a second. Bjergsen goes down. They're going to be able to drop Pobe now. And they go towards, I'm sorry, not Pobe. They go towards the back of the fight anyways. Turtle's the next one. And he goes down. Pobe's still chasing. His health is low, but it's not going to be enough to take him down. It's just Dardoch that fell.
That's going to be it, Riv, as Immortals are going to walk down mid and tie up the series 1-1.
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if we have to scream this one through, but Immortals, again, having a game that was pretty solid in the early game. Both teams kind of deciding what to do in the mid game, trading kill for kill, objective for objective, Barons for Elders. And then coming out to another result now, it's going to be in favor of Immortals. They're on the Nexus, another 50-minute matchup, and we're going to game 3 in the series as Immortals takes game 2.
Immortals battling back, and what a series it has been. So back and forth between these two teams, and TSM was giving Immortals the runaround, but they got caught coming out of the Baron pit. Pobelter massive in the last fight, nails a scatter of the week on 3 or 4 guys there, and that really sealed the deal in that fight.
I actually thought he got hit up after that. Bad old eyes. But he stays alive. The positioning was impeccable moving in too.
Yeah.
That run from TSM basically said, look at our playbook for this next 10 seconds. We're gonna go down, then you know they're running to Baron. How often do you run side by side really with the team and then prepare to fight, knowing that's coming up? So much time to set up, so much time to see the way they needed to get in as well. Flame, he does not have a stop button. He keeps going in, and you know what? It's paying off sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
sometimes.
Really great.
Sometimes. I mean, I definitely
it's
feel
fun to
like
watch.
It is, yeah. I think that sometimes he may need to add that to his repertoire. He had a few where he definitely went way too deep. That last fight, though, he was able to get back into the pit, be very effective for the team, and you know, as soon as they iron out some of the communication issues, it seems like this will be a very good team, and it was a hell of a game. Very exciting.
Absolutely ridiculous. Good of everybody to kind of hold on in Immortals this time. We saw that perseverance from TSM last game, so it seems like both of these teams, which is a very necessary skill, they have that ability to sit back, see the game for what it is, and say, yes, we still have openings, we still have win conditions, let's not get crazy and try something.
Exactly, and you have to think, you know, with 2 50-plus minute games for these teams going into game 3, a lot of it does come down to mental strength, to perseverance, and how is, you know, a guy like Cody Sun going to hold up in this? You know, he's riding high off a great performance. Does he have the mental stamina to play these long series on stage where there's so much pressure, and it's very, very draining?
That's a really good point. To get back into that game near the end real quick, the replay at 50 minutes here, the 4-for-1 for Baron. And this is, you know, partly into that pressure as well. 2 50-minute games, you've already been playing for 2 hours.
Yep, and TSM, they make the call, go straight for Baron. It's a Realm Warp in from Bjergsen, and Flame, I thought they were just going to turn on Flame and kill him, but TSM wants to get the Baron and get out. That's their call, not to fight. But when Flame's able to flash back in, he gets in, Haunter's trying to zone them out. You can see Svenskeren actually steps on a trap. He gets pretty much taken down. Then the flash in from Pobelter actually hits 4 with the Scatter of the Week, takes down Biofrost, and the Zonius keeps him alive. And, you know, Dardoch in the back line, getting in there, is able to land enough damage that the rest of the team can chase down and finish them off. And that was just so well played. And Pobelter coming up big, having a rough game through most of it, but he was huge at the end. And
just look at that.
Look at his team damage. He actually did the most damage in the game by quite a lot, even though he was getting picked on so hard by Svenskeren and Bjergsen in the early game. Pobelter has really kind of held on. He had another rough game yesterday on Fizz where he was like 2-8, but he still was key in the final fights.
And we saw even when his side lane split pushes, we saw that he almost took down Bjergsen in the 1v1 where Bjergsen had him down to 200 HP, and Pobelter was almost able to outdance that situation in the river and come up with the win. So again, Hermes talking to everybody in the back now. Good communication we saw from both teams coming in that one towards the end of kind of how to produce the results in the side lane, get those initial inhibitors, but then the final call seems to be that error for the team. Go for the inhibitor, no, now the Baron, and that seemed to have stuck TSM, especially this game where those Barons were all TSMs. The game before, they were all Immortals.
Yeah, it really just felt like TSM misjudged the timing a little bit. Like they thought that they could get the Baron, get out before anything happens, right?
Right.
You know, I really was
Realm Warp
thinking
away.
they were just going to take the fight, right? As Flame TP'd him by himself, I felt like TSM could have just killed him off right off the bat, you know, gone for Cody Sun right off the bat, because he was by himself, but they didn't know exactly where Immortals were. They thought they were further away. They could get out. Unfortunately, Immortals gets there just that little bit faster and makes them pay. But, you know, another guy I want to give some credit to here is Olay. I think he was really on point. TSM drafted for a dominant bot lane. He shut them down hard. He hit so many bindings throughout the entire game.
That they had so many champions targeted at them, and even themselves. IMT was like, well, we don't want you playing Ashe Zyra, so we'll hit and Malzahar Tarek. So they themselves were pushing on towards the bot lane as well. Seeing Cody Son 7-1 and 7 in a 3-0-10 Ole. It's definitely a comfort champion for him, and maybe we'll even start to see some Morgana bans. Funnily enough.
Yeah, it's really interesting too. The Rylai's is something that I definitely didn't expect to see on that champion, but it is interesting, and it seems to be something that he's done a couple times, I do believe now. So obviously, it is his go-to build, and it's working out.
So moving into game 2, we have a little time here before we go to break. Kind of focuses for Immortals and TSM, looking at what they should be going at in game 3. I'm sorry, game 3.
Yeah, the question becomes, I think, who can shut down each other's jungler early, right? Like, I think the junglers have been so massive for both these teams in the early game that I think it really is going to come down a lot to that. Who can get priority like on the strong junglers and really kind of work together to shut down your opponent in there. So I think that drafting for winning lanes and a strong jungle is going to be key for both these teams because you're going to have the advantage in those 2v2s and stuff. And you saw Svenskeren and Bjergsen really picking on Pobelter while Dardoch and Flame were really kind of trying to pick on Hanser.
Right, absolutely. Do you think it's kind of in their benefit to try and shut down Flame as they're shutting down Hanser in the beginning of this game? I mean, he's getting Maokai every time. Maybe if he's not on Maokai, then you put a little more effort into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely if he's off a tank, you can pick on him and maybe snowball it a bit more. But when they are on those Maokais and stuff, it's tough because he's probably going to have some pretty good effectiveness.
Absolutely. Well, the conclusion of the match will be underway shortly, but not before we take a break. We go into game 3 of TSM versus Immortals when we return. Oh, the Realm Warp. Oh, what a zoning Realm Warp as well. He's not going to take it. They find Pobelter with the mind games, and there might be a Dark Binding coming out here. They kills it! Oh, he's going to stay alive, too! Yeah, he's gone. There's the Ghost on. Not going to be able to do much. He can hit these Qs. Oh, my God, Pobelter coming up very quick. Almost got another sphere. There's the Chain of Corruption. It goes down. Sonic Wave is on the Baron. Here going to be Svenskeren. Safeguards out. And that's all they want. They say we don't even need the fight.
Finish one HP. Kha'Zix. Alright, go Kha'Zix. Look at
Flame goes down. A huge hit by Pobelter. And all of the TSM members are scattered for a second. Bjergsen goes down. And we're going to game 3 in the series as Immortals takes game 2.
Game 3 of a very tense series here between TSM and Immortals. That Game 2 coming down to the wire and ultimately falling in favor of Immortals, bringing us to 1-1. So we're on to Game 3.
Right, and it really was a weird series where I think there were a couple like things based off the draft that I thought would go one way, and then it didn't. And then IMT gets off to a good lead off the back of Dardoch once again, and things are looking good for them. But TSM has better, coordination and control around the objectives, and are able to steal a couple. And then after that, it was a really back and forth thing.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about back and forth, and still probably communication errors on both ends, right? We've got individuals getting caught out, and that's what really extended the game. They're not full 5v5 clashes that are ending in aces. They're, small picks here, or, 2-for-2 trades that just continue to push the length of the game.
Yeah, and especially around the top laners, like both of them had gotten picked off in side lanes occasionally, sometimes in team fights, one of them going deeper than the other one, and it was a very not the cleanest game. But the thing I was talking about with the draft, of course, was that we saw IMT really heavily target the bot lane of TSM, what many people consider to be a weak point. But when you just look at the picks that were taken, it seems like TSM actually got the stronger bot lane. So we see that initially they banned out Ashe, Zyra, Malzahar.
That's 3 targets at the bot lane.
Right, and then you see TSM realizing that, okay, they're targeting our bot lane, let's take Varus right away, not risk it. But then IMT don't take one of the last utility AD carries left in Jhin. They leave it up, which leads TSM banning it and the Ezreal to what should force a good bot lane for them. And then we see kind of weird picks out of Immortals, Caitlyn not super meta, Ale being the only person playing Morgana. It doesn't seem like the best bot lane. Karma is the last pick by TSM and a good pick into that bot lane. So you look at that and you think, this should be good for TSM.
Yeah, and let's be clear. We understand that Immortals ultimately won the game, but just
and the bot lane matchup.
Yeah, just because they won the game or the bot lane matchup doesn't necessarily make the concept behind the draft strategy correct. And what's interesting is that initially when we saw that Ashe ban, we had talked about how that could be extraordinarily useful and or made successful in the draft, in that you can almost threaten, the pinch, force TSM to pinch that ADC pool, knowing that there's a pocket pick you have for your ADC that you're happy to take, they won't ban away.
Right, I think it's the kind of thing that as we develop a better understanding of the 10-ban system, you can see people faking these pinches and then actually setting up a really specific counterpick matchup. I just don't necessarily think that Morgana versus Karma or Caitlyn versus Varus is that one, but it did work out pretty well for them, and I think that actually speaks more to the potential weakness in the bot lane for TSM in terms of their players, where this should be a fine matchup, and they end up losing a couple just straight-up 2v2 fights.
Right, of course, on the side of TSM, I gotta wonder what is it gonna take for them to click here in Game 3 and start to trend more towards the TSM of old, the one that we know can completely control a game from the outset.
I think the thing is that I haven't seen Bjergsen and Sven really take over a game the way that they were doing all summer long. I mean, that was what they were most known for in my eyes, where you would see, Bjergsen chunk someone out mid, get the wave pushing, and then out of nowhere, Rek'Sai or Hunter on Rek'Sai, I'm not Hunter, excuse me, Sven on Rek'Sai shows up and they make a bot play or they make a top play and they start snowballing their side laners. And it really hasn't been like that at all in their first 4 games. And it's the kind of thing that was so critical to how they won games in summer that without seeing it, it's very scary. And you hope that this is not a trend that's going to continue.
All right, a few thoughts from us on this series, but now it's time to head back to Riv and Azael to see who's going to come out victorious in this 3-game series.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Welcome back to the Battle Arena, everybody, and the NALCS Spring Split as we are underway now for a few days, and things have been absolutely crazy. Already now, TSM versus Immortals are going into Game 3 after a barn burner, and player of our last game, Ole, having an incredibly good bot lane as well. Credit as well, pat on the shoulder to himself and the AD carry.
Yeah, Cody Sun deserves a lot of credit there too, but I really felt like Ole was the guy setting up so many of those kills, nailing all the bindings, and you have to credit him when he's doing it on more of an off-meta pick right now, right? He's able to make his own champion shine, looked great the whole way through, had some great black shields on kicks from Zanskaren even, and Dardoch, and I was very, very impressed.
Awesome job there. It's hard to step up in the first few games we usually see for these guys. Rookies coming in, not too much experience on the stage, so you get jitters, especially after a long game, but they seem pretty jovial, happy to get into the next game. The crowd continues to cheer on both teams as they come out and get ready to set up. And as we almost get ready for picks and bans, we heard Dash and the guys talking about kind of the pinch of that AD carry position. We wonder if they'll go back there for this game as well, knowing that, Cody Sun did have a good game, but maybe that was a fluke. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game. He really deserves a lot of credit, too. He was right up there as one of the best players in the game, definitely. 7-1-7 on the Caitlyn, crushed even with a lot of focus on the bot lane champion pool going up against that Varus.
Fiora Syndra. So they actually don't want to see that from Pobelter again. Flame has been drawing constants on that Fiora now that they've seen him the past few games on it.
I think it makes a lot of sense. It seems like Flame is such an aggressive player. He wants to make the plays happen by himself. And while tanks can make plays happen, they need to be with their team, you know? And when you're on something like Fiora, he can split push, he can go aggressive, he can create for himself. And he can't do that on a tank.
It's very kind of Cooney-esque play style. I mean, a Flame-esque, it's his play style, but, you know, kind of the same thing that they got out of the top lane. A lot of aggression, always going in, and a team is behind him as well, once again, for that top lane Immortals. Malzahar getting banned out, the last one, LB LeBlanc on Immortals side for ban phase 1. 3 for each side, and we head into the picks.
So, a lot of options here. We have seen a lot of variation. We've seen Ashe first pick, we've seen Maokai first pick, we've seen Ryze, Syndra. There's definitely a number of options here. It's going to be TSM once again. Hanser locking in the Maokai in the top lane.
Easy. I like it. Nice job. Flame showing the Tryndamere hover love. Do it. We'll see some Kled this week. I love it. Oh, I guess we already saw some, but
yeah, I've seen some Kled here and there. It actually can work very well. And you know, if you talk about a champion who can go aggressive and can dive, that's definitely one of them, man. You roll in with that all. Woo! Love it.
So the Varus gets picked up, even with that Caitlyn game. He says, yeah, it's still down the tier list, but if I can get my #1 so far, I will get my #1. Now, talk with Hermes here with Flame, actually discussing the pick possibly. And then Dardoch, he's taking his.
Yeah, this is the first game that Flame won't have Maokai, so it'll be interesting to see how successful Hanser will be on this. I mean, Flame has not had the best Maokai games. We have seen a lot of success on the champion in the league, though, and you know, Flame, is he comfortable to allow top lane to go through the first round of picks and bans? Because he's going to be pushed way down on the tier list if that does happen. You know, how big is his champion pool? What else can he bring out?
Dardoch, like the Kazakhs once again, was favoring that Olaf he was pushed down to in game 1. So it's actually a hit that now Flame, or Cody Sun and Dardoch get their junglers for this game.
Yeah, definitely.
Or jungler and bot, I should say.
I mean, Svenskeren could grab the Lee again if he wants, right?
Sure.
Okay, I like this. You know, the Ashe is being locked in, so both AD carries have secured a very strong, supportive AD carry. We'll be able to go with that, and this is where we may see some divergence, right? Does TSM lock in the jungle? That would be kind of the safe standard option here, is to just pick something like the Lee Sin, but they're going to elect to go mid lane, and that means that Immortals, they'll have their turn at pinching the jungle champion pool of Svenskeren.
So makes you that Lee Sin ban first. Oh, Pobelter quick lock on Orianna. Like that pickup. We saw some awesome Orianna play yesterday as well.
So that's really the big difference here, Rip. So we have a top laner for TSM, a jungler for Immortals, and now they will likely attempt to try to target that champion pool for their opponents. You know, we'll see if Immortals, do they feel they can ban out Svenskeren enough to really kind of knock him down the tier list, or will they go for another option? You know, definitely the traditional one would be to take away something like the Lee Sin, take away other options, but the MF suggests that they may actually be more concerned about the bot lane, and they, to me, this signals that they want to pick Zyra first in the next round of drafts, which is what TSM reads from that as well. So it's a nice little back and forth there.
It didn't seem to take Barth much time, or the team, to figure that one out as well.
You ban a counter, it kind of screams you want to pick it.
Final one here, phase 2. 2 bans in phase 2 for each team, and now it is Immortals with 12 seconds left out of the 30.
Okay.
Karma's going to be that. How far do you go?
So
is it the Morgana?
This is another adaptation, right? They're saying, yeah, we could double ban Sven because he hasn't picked his jungler yet, but he's still going to do well. So we're basically seeing Immortals say, you know what, Svenskeren can play too many champions too well. It's going to be a waste of bans. Let's target Biofrost. Let's put Biofrost on something he's less comfortable on, because we already have Malzahar and Zyra taken away by TSM. Now we have 2 more here taken away. Immortals will have the first support pick if they want it right now, and they could hopefully for them, you know, get that advantage. It's gonna be Poppy though. Okay,
Poppy for Flame.
Poppy to me, now the only reason this really makes a lot of sense to me is if they are going to do something with their support pick that is dependent upon what the support pick is for Biofrost, right? Because the top lane has already been selected by TSM. All the bans are done. It's not like someone's going to take Poppy away from you. So by selecting that, they're saying, you know what? We want to see what you're going to pick first. Then we're going to pick the support that is going to smash that, or we're going to pick the support that is going to round out our composition against yours perfectly. So you know, it's interesting back and forth there, and there's always a lot to weigh in these decisions.
The counter support meta.
Exactly, man. And it could simply be, hey,
Morgana's
on the table. He may want to see,
right?
You know, I want to play Morgana again, but let me see what he's gonna pick first, and then if it works, I'm gonna smash it.
I like it. So much you can do with this new ban phase. The games played here by Immortals may work in their favor. Maybe Biofrost has something up his sleeve to go through as well.
Okay.
So wait, yeah, that would.
So this likely will be a Morgana.
That would be the Morglock.
Yeah, there it is. So this is really cool. This is Ole saying, you know what? I think you will play Thresh, or I think you will play something I can beat with this Morgana. So he kind of lets him do that pick first, and then selects that. And these are really cool adaptations. You know, most teams here, I think, would have done the double ban on jungle. And, you know, yes, you take Svenskeren off the Lee Sin, but maybe he plays Rek'Sai or Olaf or Graves. It doesn't really matter. And they're saying, you know what? We won through bot lane last time.
And we won. They had Lee Sin.
Exactly. So let's see what he can do against Thresh, which should be a much better matchup. Last time, Immortals had the worst bot lane matchup. They still won. Can they do it again here with now what should be an advantageous bot lane?
Very, very true. Maybe Biofrost can work a little bit more in the minions this time, keep himself from getting bound up in the early portion of the game, which really started to cost them. We're talking a lot about what just happened in the bot, but both teams, again, get compositions that they can look great with here coming into the game. The fact the pinch and ban here for these ban phases is actually giving us some compositions that you'd figure the teams kind of wanted to come in with. They haven't had to go anywhere crazy for mid, top, or any other high priority positions, and it's just really giving us some flavorful games.
I mean, this game could go either way, definitely from champ select, but I do actually favor Immortals draft. I think that Kha'Zix versus Lee Sin, you know, very even there. I think that Orianna has a nice mid lane matchup against the Cassiopeia. I think they have a good bot lane advantage, and yes, Maokai should be stronger than Poppy, but Poppy is a playmaker, and as we saw with Haunter on the Poppy, it's not like it's such a massive difference.
All right, TSM and Immortal fans are ready for this final best of three. We're about to be onto the rift. TSM versus Immortals, 50 minutes a game so far for both game 1 and 2. See if we have another 50-minute game on our hands. We'll go for a 3-hour matchup. Why not? We're in our third game. Out to the lanes head the players. Now we're going to see the bot lane nicely color-coded from Turtle and Biofrost here as they head off to meet up with Cody Sun and Ole. Bjergsen back on that Cassiopeia, somehow 10-1 and 11, I believe it was. Very close to that scoreline. Sorry if it's incorrect. Carrying the first game out. See if he can do it again.
Definitely very excited to see how that is going to be. Bjergsen, an incredible Cassiopeia player. That Maokai skin, man. I was like, what is that? What is in my ear right now?
I wondered for a second as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see how Biofrost is able to deal with the Black Shield. So there is a lot you can do as far as kind of misleading your opponent, right? You flash and you face your champion one way, you hook another way. Things like that can bait out. When you see the animation and the Thresh is flashed right on you, you Black Shield yourself, he hooks the side, hits your AD carry. So there's the kind of things that you can do like that. Or you can try to flash onto the Morgana and flay him so he CC'd when you do the hook. Things like, there are tricks you can do. So it's not like you could never land a hook, ever, but it's certainly something that is a pretty choreographed CC, and Morgana excels at dealing with those.
Maybe some brush control will be their favor there in the bot lane. You will have to come out periodically for some relics, or Targons, I should say. First CS to Bjergsen, off to a great start.
1-0. Can't come back from that rift.
So there's that first flay. Definitely wants to get in for the damage. Put a little bit of that extra passive attack on. You may see Biofrost walking up for each one of those to make sure Ole has to think about something and not have such free roam to throw those bindings. He controlled the game so much in that bottom lane last time. Binding after binding.
He definitely did. And, you know, they have had a game to play against it now, so we'll see how they can deal with it.
There it is. Another play auto. Not even 2 yet. Good trade so far. TSM still on that fan vote, not stopping Immortals from pushing through strong in these games, though. As we see this usually happen, Haunter would be pushing, or I'm sorry, Flame would be pushing Haunter in, but now the other way around a little bit as they both take damage.
Yeah, and Haunter should have a bit of a lane advantage, but it just, oh, what a nice binding. It shouldn't be enough that it's like out of control or anything, right? And we saw the playmaking from Haunter on Poppy with that ultimate. it can really change games. You know, that's what killed Flame in the mid lane, him being able to eject those two backliners. So you can definitely win fights purely off of that. It's another one.
He did. It's just too disgusting to see. The spectators had to turn away.
Avert your eyes.
You'll get locked up too.
Have your children leave the room. It's going to be ugly.
Almost, they are in division quite a bit, but they want to give Dardoch help no matter what here, so.
This could be pretty explosive as it's 3 people here. Dardoch does get
They go over. Svenskeren over the wall. Dardoch gets a jump. A flash is away too from the hit. Oh, the blast cone over. Is there a follow? There is not. And trickery coming in from IMT. Got a little messy there for a second, but they get out alive.
And Sven did get that steal, so he is actually quite a lot ahead of Dardoch. Look at how much time Dardoch spent going around to do this. He's not able to do that. And meanwhile, Svenskeren had cleared up his little camp, so he's quite a bit up in CS, and he's actually going to head up to the top side, see if he can do a wraparound onto Pobelter. It's the tried and true. You can do a ward hop over this after you clear if you do decide to go for that, but Bjergsen is backing off for now. We'll see if they look for it.
Pobelter's ward is about 4 seconds too late. He'll see the exit on Svenskeren.
Only if he
exits.
It walks that way, yeah. So he can come right behind Adam, and it gave him that false sense of security.
Flash is there, holding. He'll fire it off at the last second.
Can't take that.
You can't take that? I'm sorry?
Ooh, you can take that. Might be a little biased, but you can always take the leasing.
So that's already hurting Pobelter. I mean, Bjergsen was kind of by himself there against Pobelter. Lead in CS. Now he gets pushed out of lane.
Yeah, and
still a good amount.
Supposed to be a good matchup for the Orianna. So this is definitely tough for Pobelter. You know, getting focused time and time again, and just that little timing on the ward made him feel safe to move up because he's saying, okay. But Svenskeren had already crossed. And now Dardoch makes his entrance in the top lane. Monster has no mana, but it's okay.
It was a kind of a push hit kick.
That was actually so close to getting the stun on the wall there.
Yeah.
Just inches away. And had he landed that stun, that might have been first blood.
Looks like Flame gonna back himself, as Haunter just did. They're just getting themselves built up. Double rings from Haunter to stay tanky. Knows there'll be more ganks coming in from Dardoch from what's happened in these past games at least.
Yeah, and this is kind of the early game trifecta on that Maokai. With double Doran's Ring plus that Corrupting Potion, you have so much mana to always push out the waves, constantly shove that in and look to do things like this, like roam around and maybe get vision, or roam around and look to get something done. He needs to go right in on Dardoch. Dardoch is in trouble. Gotta get out. And now, once again, this gives the advantage to Svenskeren. Svenskeren walks into the jungle. Guess what? They can set up a 3-man dive. They're going to have to zone Pobelter off this, or Pobelter is going to die. Here it is.
Oh, he just threw out the ball, too. Only has the callback for Protect. Can't even stop them from getting in. And their plan so far ahead. That walk started 15 seconds ago.
Exactly. And honestly, Immortals should have read that one. I think that one was pretty obviously coming. As soon as your jungler gets pushed out by the top laner, your mid laner has no flash. That was an easy play to execute. TSM does it very, very well, and this was set up a few stages in advance, and there it is. Flash, root, nothing you can do.
I actually saw Dardoch on player cam when he got hit there say, you know, hey, Maokai just bopped me in my jungle. We got to be careful.
Yeah.
Instantly, TSM can still work on that and get inside the minds of Immortals. Monster now happily back cleaning up a nice wave. Good smash. And control wards abound.
Yeah, Immortals 5 in the inventory right now, so they're really looking to kind of get back on the vision. They realize that it has been lacking. You know, that first gank from Svenskeren, they realized, hey, we didn't see him come in. Then this one wasn't spotted as well, so they are a little bit worried about that, trying to rectify the problem, but it really does feel like TSM is going back to the old style of, like, you know, just Bjergsen versus the world. Everything is kind of being poured into Bjergsen. Each of the games, Svenskeren focuses almost exclusively on the mid lane, and you know, even Haunter moving down, blowing his flash to get Bjergsen ahead. So while it is great if it works, it is a little bit concerning to me for TSM, because if you can only play that way, when you play against teams who can match it, your play becomes very choreographed. Yeah, it's very telegraphed, you know?
Well, a lot of it for Bjergsen as well, when he started to have troubles, was somebody else needs to communicate. And then Doublelift came in, and he was a big majority of early game communication with Bjergsen, calling strats, making things happen. So again, he kind of has that void as Wild Turtle comes in, and maybe not calling as many strats early game. So
we'll see who can
really trying to step up. Right.
There's that black shield on the hook. And now it's a contest on the buff. Sven wins another one. Nice binding.
Just a few love taps here. It's like they
Buff is
want it,
coming.
but they don't. They're stepping back. They're moving in. It didn't seem like it was fully decided there. Shockwave over the wall. Hits him. Dissonance already hit, so it's not going to be enough.
Nope, definitely not. But they do push them back. Sven wins another Smite War on that buff. And I think Dardoch would like to. Okay, stops the back. I was gonna say I think he wants to go for this dragon or the red buff, and he does ping us this, over to that red buff. They may be looking to set something up here. We'll see how this works out for him this time. Sven's definitely playing it safe. He's trying to wait. So now he knows. Now he knows that he is there. And will he try to contest again?
That's a sleek red buff. All right. So now he's gonna get toyed with.
Oh! There you go. Dardoch makes him pay.
I think that's all I could have said there. It just seemed like it was so it
flash.
happened. Very nice. Catches him right in the flash as well. Dardoch's gonna go down on this one. Oh, double buffs over to Biofrost.
Dardoch makes the good play and then gives it right back with a failed flash. And you can see he is very frustrated with himself off that one. Knows he should have had that play. He should have been able to get out clean.
Flashed where he was almost.
It was a panic flash.
Right. No, of course.
It's one of those things, you see the hook, you just press flash, right? And his cursor's in the wrong spot.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Okay. You can see me saying it's all right. We got this. It's all right.
Yep.
Still things are. Whoa. Leaving himself in a 2v1 situation. There's the kick, the resonating strike.
They want to give it to Bjergsen. They're trying to give the blue buff over to Bjergsen.
You were saying something about resources and giving them to Bjergsen earlier?
Yeah.
There's another one, 102.
He's like, don't worry, guys. We'll both just stand here. We'll wait. We'll hold it. And here it is once more. Biofrost sees it, makes the play, and Dardoch flashes in place there. Does go down. This one would have been nice to go to Bjergsen too, but he ends up with a double buff, or a buff of his own rather, blue buff, a little bit later. And there you can see the frustration from Dardoch. He knows he made an oopsie, Riff.
A little bit of an oopsie. Those are the kind of things we got to see if a player can pull themselves out as well when they're kind of their own mistakes. It tacks on you a little bit more. Obviously, your team's behind you saying, it's fine, we can do this. But I feel like Dardoch is also saying the same thing after that. He seemed as he calmed down and said, let's take a breather. We're all right. TSM, however, they feel like they are in a very good spot here. 3-1, Bjergsen is getting so much in the mid lane as he just stacks tier and everything's being put on a silver platter for him.
Yeah, they really have been just helping Bjergsen out so much, and it's working well. He's a little bit up in the CS, but he has the extra gold from the kills, and he's gotten that blue buff for himself. So, in a matchup that you're not supposed to win, he's looking great. And so far, so good for TSM. As the bot lane has been going well for them, they're really winning all across the board right now, which is concerning for Immortals.
Yep. TSM playing much safer as well in this Morgana lane for Ole to not hit as many bindings, not have to call Svenskaren's pressure down. He's been able to do much more for Bjergsen in middle, and it has paid off. Flame getting a little bit of a roam in here to get some vision down and control those river wards. Dardoch towards the bot side, looking to get a little back once more.
There's Biofrost. Cody Sun, flash
Shield
ult.
in, they pulled it. That's going to make the chain of corruption, lock them both down. Cody Sun's going to be left now, has to break a side of the box. Oh, it's going to be Haunter getting in on this one too as the Arcane smashes Cody Sun home. 22 seconds on that clock, and Svenskaren's going to be here as well for the turret.
A nice play by TSM. Such a fast TP from Haunter. Biofrost and Turtle playing really well. This is going to be the first turret going down for TSM, and they are really going to balloon this gold lead. It is opening up big time.
Much like we used to see before when they would have a lead, that would be pushed very quickly and the turrets will start to fall. Like you said, Haunter with a nice teleport down. Flames still ticking away as he had to get back to lane.
Yeah, last year in the LCS, they were actually the team that expanded their gold lead the most between 5 and 10 minutes, 10 and 15 minutes, everything. They were the best snowball team in probably the world, actually, at least stats-wise.
Yeah,
they were
right.
really incredible at doing that. Pretty much no one better than expanding their lead.
And a Mountain Drake calmly going over to TSM. This is how much control they have over the map. They've been doing it for the last few seconds. but just really freeing things up. That scared me because I thought it was going to lock them both up, but they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they really didn't. And the thing is, it's a smart backup from Immortals because Turtle, although he got hit by the Varus ult, Dardoch had no way to close the gap and get up on him. So if he tries to walk up there, Turtle can easily step back. They will all go down. So they cut their losses. Haunter makes him pay with the TP. Really nice job from him.
Absolutely.
And he's really having a good start this time around. You know, 1-0-3. He had been kind of getting bullied in early games against Flame, but now he's looking great.
Flame getting a little love in the top lane here. During that replay as well, Pobelter's Flash and Ghost were burned by Svenskeren, so he is down without those for another all-in.
And Sven is here, so there's 4 men top. This is going to be another turret going TSM's way. It does not look like Immortals is anywhere close to responding to this. I mean, Cody's done just getting the bot lane now, and Flame, turret's dead, bud.
He walked up for that one last minion to say, I can get it and get out. I'll be able to pressure it, but now he's going to it's going to cost him his life. That'll go over to Svenskeren. He picks up a little bit more, and it seems like 3 games in, Immortals is falling apart a little bit.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, that one, yes, great. Okay, going for the assassination.
Oh, there you go.
That's a nice morale boost there as they're going to lose 2 turrets in the top lane. Off of, I mean, Flame, there was no way he could defend it, but he should have left. Dardoch, though, really nice play to get something back, and this may allow them to get a turret in the mid lane and at least try to stem the bleeding.
It's kind of that situation for Flame where you kind of convince yourself it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Nobody else is in the brush to try brush. But usually you're right in thinking that, and he was.
Look at those claps. Oh, flash hook from Biofrost!
Gonna try the shockwave though. They're still fighting back as much as he can. Pobelter goes down valiantly, using every skill before it hits. Haunter gets hit up. That's another one for Dardoch. He's been having a rough early game, so he starts to put a little money under his belt now. And Turtle from top lane now coming down to mid with Biofrost. They have been the support lane making plays this game.
Yeah, some nice plays from Immortals there. Still, though, in the end, it's a 2-for-1 for Immortals, thanks to some good play from them. And Pobelter, he gets caught, but he gets his damage down, throws out the ultimate, chunks him down. Cody-san finishes off that first kill, and here it is once more. Biofrost has been making plays. Flash, hook, lands it, but then look at that damage going out on Svenskeren, catches him. Cody-san gets the finish off, and Maokai is kind of out here on his own, and then Olay over the wall has been so on point with his bindings. Makes it a 2-for-1 for Immortals.
Kind of a hook shot. So, not much for Flame. Cleaning up the top side. Bjergsen is trying to soak up quite a bit. He heads to top to clean the wave and push it out. They still have quite a few turrets here to be grabbed up by Immortals, so that is a huge chunk of gold that's just laying there once Immortals do get the position to make it happen. But they got to find some ground first. It's been Svenskeren in their jungle way too much. The wards are still completely over past red, deep inside that. So, IMT has to do a little bit of backing up, clear those wards, and probably go forward after that.
They really do. Thankfully for them, though, you know, Dardoch, he made one mistake, but he's looked great besides that. He has 3 kills to his name, working towards that Black Cleaver. He's going to be very strong. You know, is ahead of Sven right now because he has additional farm, has additional kills, and he's going to be a big part of the game for them. They need to try to get some assassinations. Don't let TSM just kind of lead them out on these turrets.
Final outer turret taking damage. Kha'Zix over the wall. Dardoch looking for an engage, but it would be Svenskeren jumping out quick. So nothing comes of that. Infernal Drake will be next, but we got a bit of time.
Didn't end up coming into play there, but Dardoch just hit 11, evolved the wings there, probably for that play. You know, he could jump over the wall, engage from further, and look for one of those assassinations. Because we did see him previously go for the W second. Obviously, he can swap back and forth between games, but just would have been in position for that fight if he needed to. And now he's moving up top side.
Could be. He's got the angle to route him here. There's no flash and a little too much crowd control for a TP. What did TSM get on this? Bot lane's being pushed. They may actually try to take down Pobelter in this instance. I don't think Svenskaren's going to make it in time, though. Good kill onto Haunter. Takes him a bit, but they get possession of that lane again.
Yeah, and the kill goes over to Flame. TSM will get mid lane turret here, very likely. Turtle. Okay, gets it. Still, Flame can push in top lane. Could try to get that. Should be able to maybe finish down that turret. It's very, very low on the top side, and Dardoch staying active in this game. Really wants to carry for his team.
Pretty impressive as well. It has been not so easy, and it's very easy to kind of get down on yourself, feel like you can't do an engage because if you do, you're just going to die again or give over more kills to, say, Bjergsen.
Yeah.
And he has not hesitated once. I think that's a very big key factor and the reason Immortals still have options to look at as well. Because Pobelter, while he's doing damage, he hasn't been able to find any shockwaves that initiate anything as well.
No, certainly not just yet, but as he always seems to, he is hanging around, getting that farm in, and we've seen, you know, he can be massive in these late game team fights, and Orianna needs some time to scale up. Usually people talk about the 3 items as Orianna's kind of big point, you know, Void Staff, Morello, plus Death Cap. If you can kind of hit that 3-item power spike, that is where it gets frightening for the carries, and he has some good delivery systems with Dardoch, with Flame.
That's true.
And if they can hit that, they have a lot of AoE, right? You know, Ole, like he has the AoE ultimate. They have Cody-san AoE ultimate. They have a lot of follow-up if they can kind of get that initiation.
A little bit more damage on the side of Wild Turtle to Caulfields. Again, these games feel like they've been going long, but we're really only on a few core items for each member on the map right now. Just up on 20 minutes. Dragon number 2. And Bjergsen and the team have controlled this side of the map and just a bit of Immortals as well, which makes it nice and easy. Monster goes in on Flame. Flame getting a bit of taste of his initiations from the past 2 games. It looks like they're just going to back off, though, as the tanks, they're just too tanky, man.
Just too tanky. It's such a well-prepared Dragon, though, but initiation, Cody-san gets caught.
Flame once again, flayed into the box, a good amount of follow-up damage, huge shields, and Flame still wants a pushback. Puts himself in the fight, but is forced to flash out. Dardoch can't find that entry. Haunter is blocking off the backline. Great positioning by TSM as they roam back and forth in this one.
Yeah, close fight on both sides there. No one able to get the full commit to get that kill, but Dardoch going in.
Oh, there's that Dardoch mentality. I got a chance, I'm gonna take it. And he almost comes up with the kill. Haunter very quick to slow him down. And these teams are out for blood right now. It's gonna be this mid turret, or I think a death on one side of the rift.
Yeah, and I mean, TSM is low. I think they have to back off and give this up.
Right.
Thanks in part to that chunk out from Dardoch. So in the long exchange, TSM sets up a great vision control around the Dragon. They get the Infernal, that's a big one. But Immortals is able to battle back and at least take a turret, and that's important for them. They are behind on the turrets, already 2 down on that, and they need to keep close in goal.
Yep.
Essence Reaver actually full complete there from Caulfields for Turtle. So he had a little bit of gold sitting in the bank. About 1,000 right now for Cody-san that he's trying to work with. The 80 carries getting their next level of items. Mid laners 170 to 175. Much cleaner game between those two, even though Pobelter's been finding a bit more action from Svenskar in this game.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating. You know, Pobelter last year was actually the most targeted mid lane as far as jungle attention from the enemy team. So that is a stat. You know, most people would think it's actually Bjergsen, but it was Pobelter for a lot of the year that was really targeted so much by those enemy junglers. He's a guy who deserves a lot of attention in that mid lane because he does have the ability to carry. Oh, and they go.
Biofrost getting chilled out real quick. It's going to be an assist there by Ole. Very nice. And they might have some time to work. It's not a huge drop. The pawn off the map, but they may be able to get some waves into position for another fight. Follow up, rinse and repeat. Immortals has a bit to do before they can really start to initiate some big fights.
When you said earlier, you might have to start seeing some more confidence. Might have been onto something because Ole just looks so good on it. He's been such a playmaker for the team. You know, nails the binding, black shields the flay.
Yep.
He's just really looking so good on the Morgana. Very, very impressed with him. Especially, you know, for one of the players who has not received a lot of hype coming into the league, is making a name for himself on the Morgana.
And not to take anything away from, obviously, there's always the factor as well of not playing against the Morgana that much. Obviously, you're going to play against it in solo queue, but you don't respect that range as much, sidestepping as much, and it's like it has hands that reach out and grab you each time.
That's one of the strengths of playing off-meta champions, right? If you play something different, they don't necessarily know how to deal with it. And Immortals starts up Baron, immediately says, nope. Backs off, but look at the vision control around the Baron. They have so many wards in the deep blue side of TSM's jungle, as well as double pink ward on their red side jungle. So 3 pink wards over there, a bunch of other wards, and they really have gotten good vision control. But, you know, to set that up and then back out and allow this to be seeded so easily is definitely something that is a little bit of a mistake, I think, because you definitely want to, you work for this hard vision, now you really want to try to keep it and try to defend it.
Right. Being able to ward and just kind of walk out. You only get vision for a second.
But they really have been putting a huge emphasis on pink boards. You can see they always have pink boards. They're always placing them around the map, and I like that. We've seen that thing from a lot more teams this year. I know P1, there was one point where they had 10 or 11 pink boards in their inventory. There's 3 on the support, like 2 on everyone else.
They're so cheap. You just keep buying them. Keep them on the map. The vision is huge. We saw what Immortals did with it in first game and TSM in 2.
Yeah, and the vision denial from these ones, the fact they shut down the vision from opposing wards, is additional power that they didn't used to kind of have before. So it's something that has definitely been increasing the value. They may be looking for another pick here on Hanser if he hangs around, but he will back off.
Seeing what the next big explosion might be, and it seems not like a forced fight, but jockeying for vision and position here would be somebody getting caught out.
Yeah, a lot of catch potential from both the supports. You know, they're both our playmakers. Nice black shield.
Oh, he can still follow up. Sonic Wave is on! He connects it, brings him over the wall, but now Svenskaren's in a 1v1 versus Dardoch. He's flashed back to the team to stay safe. And a great shield by Ole, a follow-up coming in by the rest of the team, and they're able to really take it to him.
Yeah, nice black shield from Ole, but Hanser, full commitment, flashes in, catches Cody Sun, he goes down, and TSM is still pushing, but there's Flame, knocks one out. Do they go?
Biofrost almost against the turret, gets himself to flash out. 2-man shockwave, not too much follow-up there. It does back off TSM. They see another minion wave cannon with it, and they're going for the turret.
Immortals has to be scared now, though. The shockwave is really the big threat spell, and it just hit the tanks, so they can push forward. They can take down that turret with confidence.
Took a while for TSM to find the ground there. Immortals was also keeping themselves quite scattered. Oh, Flame goes in quite far, and he gets taken down, thinking he can set up some early vision to get the team help.
Biofrost has just been on point this game, getting so many hooks. They take another kill there. And really, he had no business walking into that bush because they still had Scuttlecrab control around the Baron.
Up again. Whoop. They're literally just moved from side to mid, and we're like, maybe somebody's going to go blue side now. All right, towards Baron.
Yeah,
starts to get a little more
Dragon right now. So do they go? They're going over. They're going to try to start this up. Let's see. Oh, okay. Never mind. Thought they were going to try to do some tricky stuff, but it will just be a TSM Dragon. Third one of the game for them, and that is a big change because it has been Immortals 2 games in a row that got the first 3.
Yeah. Very, very big. They were also heavy on the Elder Drakes.
And here it is once again. Ole blocks that up, but Cody Sun. There's the Q onto him from Svenskeren. Flash commitment there from Hanser. And when you flash with releasing Q, it follows you through. So Svenskeren's able to finish off the kill, and TSM eventually does push in and get that turret. Still cool, very close.
Yeah, trying to maybe use Cody Sun as bait there in the top lane. Dardoch backs. And now again, Svenskeren and the rest of the team. Power in numbers go ahead to set up this vision around Baron. It has been Dardoch in game 1 and Svenskeren in game 2, both getting the Barons. Neither have really been able to steal it away from each other too much. Svenskeren had a few steals, definitely putting Dardoch on tilt for a second, but he's back in. He's getting the kills he needs. Got himself to 3-1-2 after a pretty rough early game, so props to Dardoch, but we've been watching the junglers pretty much this entire series because they have been making the impacts to help
really
out mid and bot.
Every single game, this one included, 4 kills for Svenskeren, 3 for Dardoch. They have been looking great. Really just getting so much work done for their team. The question becomes, how much involvement can Dardoch keep having in these fights as you get further and further? We know how difficult it can be for the Kazakhs to really participate. Biofrost looking.
Lantern hook, just the walk up. Look at the aggression, though. Biofrost feels comfortable putting out right now with the strength of his team behind him. Immortals, very smart to back off for that instance here. And I think it's going to be the Baron jockey that gets TSM their next edge and advantage.
Oh, Dardoch, gotta be careful. Ooh. That one, I'm not sure they could have followed up if they hit. I don't think, I was like, oh, he's gonna hit him, he's gonna hit him, he's gonna hit. Oh, there's no one there.
Maybe he was just splitting them. He's like, I could hit Dardoch or I could hit.
Ooh, Sven.
Oh, Svenskeren getting hit up.
It's a shot across the broadside. It's a warning arrow.
Come on, come back. We can do this. Where are the levels at right now? 14 Dardoch, 13 Svenskeren, so there is a discrepancy in the smite. be too bad, as they both kind of have cues that can make smiting the Baron easier.
Yeah, certainly.
What a good fight here.
Oh, he didn't get the shield, Riv. That's critical because now he won't lose health.
He's up against the ropes. I don't know what he's gonna do. He's got like cat hair in his mouth and everything now. Seems like a rough fight. That's gonna keep going on though. We'll come back to that later. Dardoch cleaning up the jungle. TSM is still just working around this Baron. Immortals doesn't want to give him the pressure. They say, yeah, you guys can dance around there all day. We're not going to bite the fight. We're not going to be able to catch somebody out. Who gets this one? The smite goes in favor of Svenskar.
He's been really on point, you know, taking away buffs as much as he possibly could, winning all those smites. Oh, now the arrow. Good sidestep. Really good sidestep from Dardoch. Oh. A little bit of style points there for Dardoch.
Getting the shimmy shake.
But that's the thing. Look how short that cooldown is on Wild Turtle's arrow. When you do go for the Essence Reaver build, you know, you hit that level 11. It's really, really short. So taking those chances is great because if he hits that, that could be a kill or perhaps a summoner, and always worthwhile.
Pobelter sitting on 1,400 gold. A little bit of power in his pocket to be spent here. He's really going for these sideways. Help here from Dardoch to make sure it's safe to do so. And Immortals has kind of said, hey guys, let's take a break until Pobelter can get these items, it seems. They once again back off, and they're going to take the offense here of TSM.
They definitely will. We have Flame pushing right now in the bot lane. Haunts are going to be going down to answer that, but Flame can make a rotation up and look to kind of start something, but the game really has slowed down. Oh, it's been about Baron, right? Yeah. TSM and Immortals are both competing for Baron vision right now. TSM has the dominance in the game. They're up in gold, they're up in dragons, and they have double mountain, which means they can rush it. So they want to control, that was close. They want to control the vision around Baron and bait Immortals into a bad fight.
All right, nice redemption. Actually, a nice hit there.
Oh no.
Flame.
Here goes Haunter.
Pobelter gets one hit onto Biofrost. He could go down, but he's not a huge factor for the team. He can still stay in the back. They can fight the same. Ole is going to be the next focus now. Haunter, another twisted advance in. It connects on Flame to Svenskar and go in. The kick is down, so there's no reason to. They will just follow up with damage for now. And a back and forth. Immortals actually wanted that fight. They stepped in with redemption. They got themselves in trouble after Flame again went too far ahead, missed the ult.
Yeah, they really wanted to have that fight, but they haven't been able to land the Shockwave, and that's the key spell for them. You know, the Shockwave hits a tank support there, and it means TSM goes straight onto the Baron. Look how fast they kill it with double mount. I think this is gone, unless Pobelter can seal it.
No, Dardoch just jumped over the wall.
Oh, Bjergsen going over the wall.
Cody burning down from the poison damage. And Bjergsen picks himself up a kill as well as the team getting Baron.
Cassio just destroys the Baron with double mountain. Goes down so fast, and Immortals not there to contest. Not even there for a chance at a steal, unfortunately for them. And TSM, they had set that up so far in advance. A really good job from them. They were able to secure the Baron. They have vision around it. Yeah, Immortals can see it, but then in goes Bjergsen. He knows Pobelter has no shockwave, so he can't fight back. And look at the poison damage. Just takes out Cody-san.
Far arrow for Flame. Looks like they're going to catch up on this one.
Here comes Immortals, though. There's actually a couple guys coming. He does have a GA, so they can look to re-engage.
Bjergsen's top. They can see him on the minions if they really want to take this fight. The AP damage is not there. Teleport is up, but Flame is already in the fight. He's not going to have enough time to back and come into the fight. No Cody-san means everybody backs away. Bjergsen gets a long time to free farm in the top side.
I might have thought they would go for that with Pobelter having his shockwave back, Bjergsen on the top side, you know, being that super strong member for TSM, but they're not willing to commit to that fight, not feeling confident about it. And it means TSM going to claim another turret, extend this gold lead, getting even stronger.
Interesting pick ban once again. The Morgana coming in for Immortals here. Thought it would be a pretty big hitch for Biofrost on that Thresh. It seems like he doesn't throw the hooks at Ole. And Ole has been a lot farther from the members of his team than he was last game, because Immortals is kind of in recuperation mode. He's helping everybody out instead of being with the guy that is aggressing to give him that shield that looked so good last game. Things have been a bit scattered for them now.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because TSM has done such a good job of controlling vision, right? You don't know where Biofrost is. You can't be there to necessarily black shield that hook. I think he's been pretty on point with it, but Immortals has been getting caught out here and there, and now their siege very strong. They have this turret quite low.
Great miasmas consistently from Bjergsen to keep anybody from flying through. And just a few more shots here, Turtle's gonna get into range and finish off the turret. Like Biofrost is gonna be the one to do it. Almost letting the minions do the job for him. Inhibitor turrets in their eyes. Isaac, let's see if they can take this one down.
Yeah, and it's looking like this inhibitor may go down. Cody-san has to run back to get some mana to get ready for a fight on the second one. First inhibitor, definitely a big deal for TSM, but that is okay. You can give that up. It's the second, it's the third that you really need to kind of choose your moment and look for a fight, and I think that Immortals will contest this next one much more heavily.
Just Haunter down to the bot lane. Looks like, yeah, they're going to split this one. Haunter says, I got this. Use the Baron minions middle. And once again, Turtle has easy position to take this one down. So Immortals forced to watch here. And now they're going to move down towards the bot side. Around the horn here for TSM as they start to really crack down on Immortals base. They've had great control over this game 3 after a very back and forth game 1 and game 2.
This is the best game we've seen from TSM so far. Yeah. You know, Bjergsen having a great start with the help of Svenskar and with the help of that roam from Haunter, and Haunter finally getting the Maokai, and he has been instrumental as well. You know, involved in 7 of the 10 kills. You know, key picks from him too. So
yep, he's just a big scratching post. They can't get through him. Take him out. 34 minutes in, much more speedy in that sense as well. As I said, game 1 and 2, 50+ minutes, and now a 34-minute game with the inhibitors falling very fast.
We do have to remember, though, this is a situation that TSM was in before, you know?
Game 1.
Where,
yeah,
exactly.
30-minute inhibitor down.
They had to hold on for so long, and they were able to do it. And Immortals does have really powerful team fighting, really powerful scaling, and they have that high-impact shockwave. That can always be a turning point in a team fight, especially now. Pobelter has hit his 3 items.
There it is, yep.
He's very strong, and they have the delivery systems, but they have to nail that combo. And I think without a great shockwave, you will not be winning fights this far down in gold.
Svenskar taunting the abilities out, knowing Immortals is just on the edge of the fog of war. Turtle up front. The Turtle shell is on. Bjergsen's there with him, however, as well, as Haunter goes for mid lane here against Flame. Looks like he's just going to try to get some solo hits on the inhibitor when he can, but he's also calling over Dardoch. The little scatter here they're causing for Immortals could mean that catch. Maybe a hook, maybe a Haunter hit from a twisted advance here. We'll see how Immortals handles it.
And Immortals has really good wave clear, so it's very tough for TSM to get a lot of damage on these turrets unless they want to go mid. Oh, okay, that's not, it's okay.
Just tell him it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But how heavily does Immortals commit to defending this? Because it looks like they're just going to give it up. They waited too long.
Who's he want? He's like, I don't want to hit Biofrost, so I kill that guy. So he changes his mind, nicely hitting out Haunter. They're going to figure out what to do next in this one. A turret will be going down according to the minions from Team SoloMid. And now they will try to do what they can to clean up on the side of Immortals. TSM's probably going to stay for a little bit longer, at least deny anything in the jungle, as you see Svenskar in the jungle. And Haunter heading back down.
Yeah, Haunter going to push in the wave. And, I mean, sure, Biofrost died, great, but you lost an inhibitor, you lost a Nexus turret. So TSM really playing it well, and Immortals not able to find that big fight. You know, they commit the shockwave, it's for the support. That means they can't really go for a bigger fight after that. They just need to keep holding on.
Clean up in mid-wave by Pobelter, or mid-lane by Pobelter. His sums are up. That shockwave could come from a flash engage, then Ollie comes up. We haven't seen the Soul Shackle really deny anything either, as it kind of should scare you for initiating into the team fight.
Definitely. And I think right now for TSM, the objective is pretty clear. You push in your side waves, you group towards the bot, and you go for that last inhibitor. You can have Haunter over by the mid lane. He's shoving in minions there. The rest of the squad down as 4, looking to collapse on that. And for Immortals, you know, you can't allow yourself to just bleed out like this. You need to pick your moment, because otherwise the super minions will run you over. When you go to answer those other waves, TSM will push in on the turret, so they will have to choose their moment and look for an engage. And whether that's from Flame TPing in behind, or whether that's just from, you know, some sort of flash engage from Olay, they need to choose a time and go for it, or it'll be gone.
If those minions do get in there, they don't have a team that can really clear waves all that well. So super minions are just going to plow right through.
And look at this. I mean, Immortals now kind of being flanked from all sides. They got to choose when they're going to go. Here comes Pobelter back with mana.
Monster pushed out. Wild Turtle 3 shots onto the turret is only stopped by the Tormented Soil taking away his minions. He'll be back in just a few seconds with that minion wave. And first in line to take it down. Monster Svenskeren swiping from the side here. That last turret, Cody's trying to do work in the back, keep the super minions off, but also help his team. The Chain of Corruption has already been fired out. And the inhibitor is not the focus, it's the members. Nice flash by Pobelter, keeps himself alive, looking for the perfect shockwave, but none of the members of TSM are grouping together. He can't do anything. Cody in the back, he's fine. Spell immune not, no! Haunter finds him as soon as that wall falls off. Pobelter's gonna go down now. They waited so patiently, they scattered so well, and TSM comes out on top of the series, winning game 3. TSM take down Immortals.
TSM's best game is the last, and that's what counts. They look good in the third game here, and they are going to take it, Riv, and the sky's not falling yet for TSM.
Nope. Somebody put it back up. We got some supports in there.
Both these teams going to end their week 1-1, though. TSM only lost one series all last year, so they're going to have to go a long way if they want to match that record.
Nevermore, said the Raven. Can't lose. Top position once again, taking back that Lee Sin, finally getting the Maokai on their side, and Bjergsen back to the Cassiopeia. And throughout these games, we saw good play from the bot lane, but the junglers were focusing the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Svenskeren all the time going to the mid lane, getting Bjergsen ahead, and it really did pay off. Bjergsen was so strong on this Cassiopeia, and Haunter had his best game yet on the Maokai. He looked really good on it in this game. And he was the one dictating the pace to Flame, pushing him around, getting catches, and really the whole team did contribute here. Biofrost getting some really nice hooks, the flash hooks coming in at multiple times, netting them kills. And it just felt like TSM deserves so much credit for playing around the shockwave. It was never anyone getting caught with it, right? It's always just Biofrost getting shockwaved or just Haunter.
Like a 2-man was the biggest we saw.
Exactly, and it was on tank support. So not a big deal whatsoever. Pobelter just couldn't get that prime shockwave that he needed because TSM played so well around it. They positioned themselves, they tracked it, they communicated, and they did what they needed to do to win the series.
Right. Well, Immortals playing strong. The third game seemed to get to them. We saw a few mistakes here and there. The Baron steals started to go to Svenskeren, so props to him and the pressure that it came down to, because the first few games we saw Immortals as well. 3 dragons, 3 dragons. TSM wasn't really able to control too much of the map. Finding their win condition, though, in the games really allowed them to kind of build confidence. Once they figured out that they could get through, especially the first game, you saw the confidence in their plays, continuing to engage and continuing to make things happen. Especially Bjergsen, when I was on the cast that game, his ridiculous KDA, and that over this is something like 13, 2, and 17 or something like that for his Cassiopeia. So awesome play to Bjerg as well in the mid.
Yeah, he was smashing, and I think this game was definitely a nice one to see from Wild Turtle, because I think that they didn't have the best bot lane matchup. They played well. He contributed a lot, had some great arrows. You know, no deaths.
And it was
in
a
this
question
one.
too, right?
And you know, he's been catching a lot of flack. So winning this series, coming up big in the last game for him. And Biofrost is really nice to see.
That was the next one I was going to go to. Just in fact that these guys can work together now, and we saw that lane synergy after having a bit of trouble versus Cody, Sun, and Ole, which, not to take anything away from them, they played very well. Played very, very well. 16-17 is, or 16-13 is where they ended this one, and Wild Turtle and Biofrost were already ahead of them. It's just TSM had game number 3 in the bag. Seemed like they knew what they were doing when they came into this one. Now we're going to catch up with Freak, who is on stage with TSM's mid laner.
Once again, but Moon is going to fall. Bull's going to get...
Thank you very much. I am here with Bjergsen, the man in the mid lane from TSM. Bjergsen, finally a win on the board. I gotta imagine there's a huge sense of relief finally closing out that third game.
Of course it feels good. Winning in that way doesn't feel as good as it could. A lot of our wins in last season were, you know, they weren't super clean in the beginning, but I feel like really the thing about TSM is that we're always the most hardworking team, and I feel like we were lacking material to really work with, but now we have these games to really look over and improve from. We have a lot of these LCK games in the last week or so, so I think now we finally have the material to be the best team.
Is it fair to say that right now you feel like it's a rocky start, but it's just all up into the right now for TSM?
For sure. I mean, I think that's how everyone feels right now. It was obvious that we didn't really know how to execute on some of our comps, even against C9. I think C9 is a really strong team right now. I don't know how their games against Dig went, but for these games, we definitely missed a sense of direction. And I think Doublelift brought that direction to some degree, and also just
preparation. And I think once we have more time, or once we are able to prepare better, our games are going to be much cleaner.
Absolutely, and of course, you guys always make the final no matter what it looks like. I remember your spring split run last year, 6th place, into suddenly making the finals after all. And I'm happy you brought up Doublelift because it's still on the minds of all the TSM fans. Wild Turtle in his place individually didn't look very good on the first match, but I want you to talk to me about the change in the bottom lane and how it's going to affect TSM.
I think it's pretty much just everyone getting back into it. It's not just all the 4 of us are performing to the same degree, and it's just Doublelift missing. I feel like all 4 of us, regardless of Turtle, we still have a lot of things to work on, and we're not looking out for the same plays and at the same level as we were at Worlds, which is obviously understandable because we're in the spring split. But I think right now we're just focusing on dividing the roles that Doublelift brought. I'm trying to take over a lot of his responsibilities as a leader, mostly. And yeah, I'm really confident in our team. Our week 1 was shaky, but with the weeks, we're going to be better and better.
And another final, again, for TSM in the works, of course?
Of course.
All right, TSM going to win North America once again, at least make the final. Bjergsen, thank you very much. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you next week. Let's toss it over to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Freak. Bjergsen there, very tempered in his responses, recognizing the shakiness that the team has felt here.
That, of course, was not the most confident, of course, I've ever heard. Like, oh, yeah, the finals, sure.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we're looking at right now.
3-0, we already know it's going to happen.
Not this weekend.
Yeah, but again, I think it's always great to see players recognizing, you know, when even though they achieved victory, that the victory did not come easily or in a super clean fashion, and that there's still plenty of work to be done. Also, love the fact that he's separating out and saying, hey, look, yes, Wild Turtle's new, and that's you know, back on the roster, and that's a change for us to work through. But that doesn't forgive the other 4 of us for any mistakes that we're making individually. It's still our responsibility to step up and play.
And I think the point he made about still getting a handle on like the new season, the changes that came with the changes to the 10-ban system is something that's almost like evening the playing field because no one knows exactly what they're doing at this point. There's a lot of like, oh, we can pinch here, but is this exactly what we want to do? And I think as the teams with better coaching staffs and better infrastructure have more time to play with this and get more data on it, you'll see them start pulling away more. So I think you can say TSM generally seems to have a strong infrastructure, so you would assume that they would kind of ramp up over the course of the season.
Yeah, that's what one would think. And you mentioned that it's a learning, you know, process for the players. It's also a learning process for us. So let's go ahead and dive into this draft. The one thing in this draft that I'd like to talk about is the support focus in the bans here coming into phase 2. We've got the Zyra on the side of TSM, MF Karma here for Immortals. What are your thoughts here?
So when you look at the first phase of the draft, you're always looking like where are the mismatches, and there wasn't a huge one here, basically just the top lane for the jungle. And so Immortals, they ban out MF, trying to get a good first pick in the second half with the support. If you ban the MF, the Zyra suddenly becomes super high priority. So of course TSM banned that. And then you think that, okay, Karma's the next strongest
Karma's
one.
pretty much the only meta support
like
that's high priority.
Right, so you would think Immortals wants that pick and they ban out a jungler or something to scare TSM, and then TSM has to choose between a top or the Karma. Instead, Immortals bans the Karma, and then TSM is able to ban the Nautilus as opposed to giving, you know, the choice between Nautilus or Poppy and that kind of stuff. So
it is Ben gets Lee, who he's very comfortable.
Right, you could have banned that Lee and then they have to pick and all that stuff. And it's just an interesting thing where all weekend long, Immortals seemed a little just out there with the support position. Obviously, based on the fact Ollie hadn't had much practice time compared to the rest of the league. And I mean, he did good on the Morgana. I'm not going to pretend like he's not a good Morgana. It's just it's not meta.
Right.
And it's I don't know if they're catering their bans really hard to accommodate that pick or not. And it might be over forcing it to an extent.
I was going to say it's interesting though because the contrast here, the counter argument is the fact that well, if Ollie is very fond of the Morgana pick, then they guessed right in assuming that Biofrost would relegate himself to that thresh where Morgana can succeed.
Right. I mean, they set themselves up to get a good lane matchup, but it was just, was it worth the resources in the draft it took to get that?
Right. Enough about the draft. Let's move into the game. TSM here, as we've mentioned, haven't had the cleanest game so far this split. But this game 3 to me was the cleanest of them yet. And particularly in the early phases of the game, we saw them rotating to each other quicker.
Right. I mean, this is really what you want to see out of a team is just that they're on the same page and not necessarily that every play they make is going to be the best, most coordinated play ever. But when someone else makes a play against you, that you're able to react accordingly. So here we see Dardoch. He's known for making great plays. He's going to make good plays. He comes into your jungle, he kills your jungler and steals your red. That's annoying, but he doesn't get away scot-free. And that's the important part, that Biofrost was already in the jungle reacting to this potential threat, and he's able to flash this wall and get the hook onto Dardoch, which is going to set him up to get finished off by Bjergsen here. And so this is really the important thing, is that Biofrost was already moving to the jungle because they were aware of the threat that Kha'Zix had onto Svenskeren. And so it wasn't this, oh my god, he's in my jungle. It's we can now start doing things about that. And you can see the effect it might have on Dardoch when he gets caught out. His flash there was not good. He might have lived if he had a good one, so.
I mean, you even saw at the very top of your screen there, Haunter was in position as well. So there was a possibility of him getting involved in that fight had Dardoch escaped that hook per se. But yes, for TSM, that's at least movement in the right direction when it comes to their overall strategy and team play.
Yeah, overall, good game from TSM. It wasn't easy, which is, I think, the scary thing. We haven't seen an easy game from them compared to the summer split, where all season long they were crushing people with a handful of, marked, oh, this game was difficult. Here, it seems like everything is a struggle, and, the sky is falling. You can hold off on that a little bit. They did pick up the win, but it was not in the fashion that we're used to seeing out of them.
Yeah, player of the game going to go to Svenskeren this time around. He got Bjergsen ahead, as well as on that Lee Sin, as we would expect, showing some mechanics, some great kicks, and the placement of them.
Right, he was in a disadvantaged jungle matchup. Got bullied a little bit early, but then was able to really bounce back, had a good mentality about it, play around Bjergsen as well. I felt like they had a lot better synergy, which is one of the things we were looking for coming out of this series, that we wanted to see that kind of dominant duo again, making things happen on the map.
So finally, I just want to kind of, recap here on the weekend for both of these teams and moving forward. I think Bjergsen, again, he summarized it very well in that this is a large learning curve for them. And that, with the 10-ban system, with Wild Turtle back in the roster, how are they going to adapt and eventually become a consistently performing team?
Yeah, and I think the big thing is just finding what works for them. Like Bjergsen said, we lost a voice in Double If. He was someone who helped give us direction, and you need to find someone to replace that, both out of game in terms of what your team does well, and in game in making sure that you actually do that stuff. And I think we've seen in the past when Bjergsen takes a big shot-calling role, which we've seen in kind of Season 4, Season 5, that his mechanical and individual play does seem to drop off a little bit, and having someone be able to back him up is going to be really, really important.
And I think on the side of Immortals, it's a similar goal in that they need direction. However, for them, they've got direction in terms of Dardoch is a vocal player who's going to want to push the pace of the game. But he chooses the direction, it's up to everyone else to also follow, right? So for them, it's a little bit more of the, we've all got to be on the same page and follow up on the direction. TSM needs more direction.
And I think sometimes Dardoch, you could say, has blinders on in terms of like, I can make this play, and it's like, you can maybe, but it's risky, maybe not.
Absolutely.
And I think, someone to pull him back every now and then would be really good. That said, the top lane synergy seems really strong between the two. They had some great dives onto Haunter. They gave him the Dyrus treatment for a little while there. And I think it's the kind of thing where they have some stuff to build around. It's just about the fact that they have hardly any practice time so far.
TSM able to close out the week with the 1-1. We're headed to a break, but when we come back, we have our final series of the weekend with Team Dignitas battling Cloud9. That's a big one.
It's
2 minutes, 2 grams.
2 grams. That's actually just about as much as I lift at the gym.
Curl 2 grams.
Why do you think it takes so long? I do 500 reps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Flash happened. Very nice. Catches him right in the flash as well. Dardoch's going to go down on this one. That's going to make the chain of corruption lock them both down. Cody's son's going to be left now. Has to break a side of the box. Oh, it's going to be Haunter getting in on this one too.
She's in my W. She's in my W. She's in my W.
Finish her.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
Oh, Bjergsen going over the wall. Cody burning down. Cody in the back, he's fine. Spell immune now. No! Haunter finds him as soon as that wall falls off. Pobelter's gonna go down now. They waited so patiently. They scattered so well. And TSM comes out on top of the series, winning Game 3. TSM take down Immortals.